And I'm the one drinking alcohol.
I think that was live.
Hey guys, this is Steve with Orlando Collective Deviants. I'm taking it. Everybody liked the intro this time.
I think you set the theme of John likes to wear crazy shit on his head.
Hey,
I love that wig.
At least I'm not the only one. Okay, so tonight we are here with the Silverline crew with the Silverline Spotlight. So along with us, we have Roland. Does my hair really look that white, man?
Yeah.
We're also with John. I take selfies with cows, Crowther.
I do, actually.
I don't
Behind the camera, making the snide remarks, we got Trish. It's my birthday this weekend. Woohoo.
Oh, happy birthday, Trish.
Thank
See,
you.
I was nice to you.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Do you get to go to New Orleans and celebrate?
That would be my favorite thing to do.
You get to go to Kissimmee to the Kissimmee Toy Show #2.
Do you think they have adult slushies?
They might if you ask. So
Or-
some of the vendors might underneath the table.
You could just bring your Batman flask and make it an adult slushie.
Right? So whoever provides me with an adult slushie will be my best friend forever.
Well, I think Leah's going to be there, so let her know.
I'll let her know.
So as you saw with the intro, I incorporated your Kickstarter that you guys got going on into it,
Thank you.
along with your other little pictures. Kind of trying to change up the intros a little bit, and since you guys have about a Kickstarter a month going on, figure I can add that stuff up in there. Every other month.
Every other month.
And we already got happy birthday, Trish, from Scott Fenster,
Thank you, Scott.
our family up in Ocala. Also does Monster Manor on Saturday nights. You got to check him out. And he's also saying hello to everybody. Hey, Scott, how's it going? So now you're talking every other month.
Yes.
Let's kind of talk about the Kickstarter you got going on.
Let's let Roland
Excellent.
start since he's the boss of Silverline.
All right. So so we've got a double feature flip book. This will be our third flip book. And for those of you who don't know what a flip book is, look, I just happen to have one handy. Ta-da! A flip book. See, it's this book. This one's Friar Rush, if you read it this way.
Oh,
If you flip it over, it's Bloodline. Woohoo! And so you can read it normally like this until you get to about the middle. And then everything is upside down. You can see that. So you got to flip it over and read the other side, right?
Or you can flip yourself over
you could do that.
and read it while standing on your head.
You could stand on your head and read them.
that would be more fun.
Yeah. So flip books aren't a new thing, right? But they've kind of come and gone, and we just decided, we've got so what's up, Royal?
Royal just pledged to the Kickstarter last night.
Thank you, Royal. Much appreciated.
He also says happy birthday.
Thank you.
And then we got Robert McNeely says, happy birthday, Trish. Hope it's awesome.
Oh, it's the Trish show.
Woo-hoo! It is. It's the Trish show. Now, Robert, the only thing that would make her even happier is if the Feeling Good food truck was somewhere around where she could get something.
Right?
And if it provided adult slushies.
And adult slushies.
Right. Adult slushies.
Hey, you never know. Robert might have some back there. Because as you guys know, Robert was just at the land show. He's the food truck operator.
He filled my belly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Love that dude.
Really nice guy. Really nice guy.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, such a nice guy. He purposely asked my name and then called me by name, when he was speaking to me, and of course the food is delicious. But yeah,
absolutely. I know on the way out,
fantastic. I wanted to go buy more sandwiches.
On the way out, Bugsy McGraw was with me, and he made it a point to have me stop by there so he could say what a great ham sandwich he had. He said it was he couldn't stop talking about it as we were sitting at the table. How great the sandwich was.
Oh yeah,
that's how good the food is.
Oh yeah, we had a chicken sandwich, and that was to die for.
Steve kept talking about it on the way home in the car.
I did. And Robert says, you folks are wonderful. No, Robert, you are, for bringing a little bit of joy into our life on Sunday.
A lot of joy.
A lot of joy.
Yes.
I don't want him to get a big head.
And a lot of joy to my belly.
Look, I compliment him, and
I think
he shared it. Shows up to the show late, and then he sends me pictures at the last minute.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
But if you notice, Roland, I had a couple of those pictures already.
You did, yeah. So yeah, and the thing about it is, because I got a message from John. He's like, "Hey, we're 7:45, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Then I'm thinking, "Wait a minute, I don't have the link. Where's the link?" Then I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, Steve sent me the link already." And then I'm thinking, "How does he get the link so far in advance to StreamYard?" And then I went, "Well, let me go look and click and see." And then I'm reading your message. Hey, if you've got any images, and I noticed, holy crap, I didn't send you any images. So I said, swipe. Let me give him some images now. That was my thought process.
See, I create. You want to know how I can send the link so early? Is I create this about a week in advance. As long as I know who's going to be on the show, I can create it and pop it out to everybody. And
really,
so I'm not rushing at. So I'm not rushing at the last minute to put pictures up.
If I'm right, to give credit where credit's due, a couple of those pictures, I think of myself and of Roland. There's a mega fan I got. His name is Roberto. I don't know if it's Yuyo or something like that. Gonzalez.
Yeah.
He made some of these funny images of us with little sayings, and some of those look familiar. Were those some of Roberto's handiwork?
I don't know. I pulled them off each one of your guys' own personal page. So.
Okay, then I'm right. So I want to give credit where credit's due. Yeah. He's a really nice guy. He's a great fan. He always, I think he slowed down a little bit with COVID going out, but before COVID, he would always make it a point to come by my table, bring his son. And he always buying books, and really, really nice guy. And he, for our birthdays, I remember when he did it for Roland, and then a little bit later, he did that for me. He made all these funny little meme photos and put them on our wall. So
yes, yeah.
So Roberto, if you're listening, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, and he is very much a fan of Silverline. He has supported us, I want to say since the very beginning, and I have to go back and look, but if not since the very beginning, since very, very early. So, yeah. Fantastic. We see him a lot here locally in the Orlando area. So a lot of the shows, he and his son, who is getting to be way tall now.
Yes.
So anyway, the flip books. So this is Team Beetle and a Switchblade. Our flip book is a flip book. That's going to be the Kickstarter reward. They both of them. Yes, they have Kickstarter exclusive covers. That one that you just briefly popped up there was a cover for Teen Beetle by Ben Dunn. And everyone knows Ben Dunn from his Ninja High School and a lot of his other books like that. But Ben also, for a more recent thing, Ben is the creator of Warrior Nun Ariella, which became the Netflix show Warrior Nun.
Oh,
So,
see,
yes,
that's
which
cool.
was just renewed. Which was just renewed.
Oh, very cool. Well, the wife and I watched the first season, and we liked it quite a bit. So, and I've known Ben for years and years. This goes way back to the Malibu days. Ben, of course, John can probably tell you more specifically than I can, but Ben is the chief over at Antarctic Press, which I think a lot of. I know he gets a lot of excuse me, gets a lot of help from his brother Joe. I don't know Joe, but I know Ben, and so I cheer for Antarctic Press quite a bit. Ben is a great guy.
Yeah, I know Ben pretty well. He my first, well, I don't want to say they were my first publisher. My first publisher was a small publisher here in Florida, AC Comics, which actually my debut comic, Rochelle the Teen Cockroach, was actually a flip book itself. It was a flip book. It was a flip book with FemForce it was actually issue 170. So that's my first experience with comics, was actually a flip book. But Ben he's not really, I don't want to say he's running Antarctic now. He's the founder of Antarctic Press. And he was running Antarctic Press. He's kind of stepped aside in more of an advisory position. He continues to do Ninja High School.
Yep. And
he's taken the reins on several of their they're like more like anthology type series, Exciting Comics, Jungle Comics, and I forget what the other one is. It's like Space Comics or something like that. So he's still involved in that way. And his brother Joe is kind of running the show, and he's got another editor. I think his name's Brian Denham over there. But they're all great guys. They gave me my first opportunity with a longer running series when they picked up the Rochelle series. And so it was nice of Ben to do this Kickstarter exclusive cover. And when issue 2 of Teen Beetle rolls around, he's actually done another cover for us that will make its debut. You won't get to see it now, but if you're a fan of Ben Dunn, know that that's also coming for issue number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and I should also say, since John mentioned Rochelle, one of the reward tiers we have is all the published versions of Rochelle now. So Rochelle, there's a volume 1. We have volume 1 in the trade paperback, and then we have volume 2. We're going to have issues 1, 2, and 3, which is the complete run. So you'll get I think it's called the Rochelle verse tier, and you get all of the Rochelle verse. So Steve, you might be thinking, well, why? What does Rochelle have to do with any of this? Well, Rochelle and
well, I'm not thinking that. I just know.
You were thinking that. I know you were.
No. I
play the part, Steve.
my big question is, what is with all the bugs and John? But okay, I'm wondering what's Rochelle has to do with this. Okay, that's what I'm asking.
So Rochelle is Teen Beetle is part of the Rochelle verse, right? But Silverline and John, we're still got a lot of stuff to figure out. But Silverline is going to be bringing a volume 3 of Rochelle.
Absolutely.
So
and for those of you who are collectors, I just kind of started getting into this whole stock market thing. So I've learned some terminology here. So if you're into insider trader thinking and you're into collectibles and things like that, I would give you a hint that there are some things that are in the works, not necessarily even with Silverline, but all tied in together, that would indicate it might be a good idea to try and pick up some of these Rochelles before everything's finalized.
Oh, so Rochelle's going into the vault. It's not going to come out. See, look at that. Because as a collector, that's what happens. If somebody says pick them up now, it means they're going to the vault. Okay, John, but I am going to ask, what's with the bugs?
I like bugs. No, I've always, for those of you who know me well, I mean, and not everybody knows all of this though. My whole family, we're into exotic pets. So we've got everything you can imagine, which kind of leads me into enjoying writing stories about these kind of things. We've had pet cockroaches, we have pet tarantulas, we have, oh my God, we've had a centipede. We've had, when I say tarantulas, I don't know if you've ever heard of the bird eater.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I had a bird-eating tarantula. We've got a Brazilian black. So I'm just into those. We had Madagascar hissing cockroaches. This was just kind of fun thing I enjoyed doing, and it.
So-
I am not going to John's house.
So for your bird eater, do you run outside and catch blue jays and
No, but I did feed him. I did feed him live mice.
Christopher Gonzalez says hello.
What's
How you
up,
doing?
Christopher?
How you doing, Christopher? Christopher is the one putting on the Kissimmee Toy Show #2 in Kissimmee on Sunday.
Woot woot!
So he's a fan of the show,
Aren't we all?
and he asked us to be out there. We're gonna just do our normal stop by. He asked us if we wanted to boot, but with it being Trisha's birthday, we're gonna stop, do our little thing, and go on. We're not gonna spend a whole lot of time.
You're gonna stop, do your thing, and then you're gonna leave, and then do your thing.
Oh yeah, you know, because she turns the big 5-0.
Oh,
And then you're going to buy her every Wonder
you
Woman
actually
toy on
say
site.
that on a live stream?
She can't say anything now.
I've come to terms with it.
And John, she already owns every Wonder Woman toy or item known to man.
This is true.
Yeah, the good thing, Trish, is that that's good that you've come to terms with it, because the alternative is that you don't turn 50,
Good point.
and so turning 50 is a very good thing.
Yes, it is.
And everybody who loves me lies to me and says, "Really? You don't look 50."
I would
I
never
don't.
have guessed you were 50.
I don't.
But not
I
if
tell
either.
her the truth. I'm like, man, you've been looking like 50 for the last 10 years.
Oh,
Ask,
Ouch.
ask,
And he wonders
you know-
why
you
he's
know
in
what?
trouble all the time.
she will tell you for the last 10 years, we go someplace. Would you like the senior discount?
Right?
So,
They weren't talking to Trish, Steve.
oh yes, they were.
I look at him and I go, "What are you, 12?"
I've only been offered it once outright and given it to me twice without asking. Hey, and I look at Trisha and say, you know what? I'll take it. It's free money. I mean, they give me a discount.
Oh, I thought you was gonna start singing Foreigner there. Are you hot blooded?
Okay, we got Joe De La Rosa who says hello, and he's trying to be a strong man over here. See, we all do it there.
Yeah, we can all do it.
Yeah, but I got my Bugsy brute force.
Well,
You
see,
win.
Yep. And then Royals say you don't look a day over 40.
There you go.
I'll take it.
I think he missed a 400.
Shut up.
Oh.
And Scott says wear it like a badge of honor.
Steve,
All
sleeping in the doghouse tonight.
Hey,
Oh,
I got
You know, Steve.
you guys know me and how I talk, so you know I like that.
Yeah.
And Joe's laughing at us. And Scott says, you know what? It sucks to be you because he's a year behind you, so he's not there yet.
Really?
No, he says he's only 1 year behind you. Would you think Scott was older than you?
No, I thought he was much younger. Damn it, Scott.
See, look at that. That's okay. You're younger than Roland.
Okay, at least somebody.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
What? Why do you got to bring me into this?
Roland's on? What are you, Roland? 51?
This sounds like a domestic dispute. Why are you bringing me into it?
Because
I yes, go ahead.
These days are Facebook Live.
Okay.
Say
No,
again?
John wanted to know how old you were. 51?
Yeah, I heard his question. What did Trish say?
I said, don't you know all domestic disputes are live now?
They broadcast live, right? I am 51 plus 5.
Oh, see?
Thank you, Roland.
And you wonder why your hair looks white?
I do, actually. Did you look at the video? Holy
Well,
mackerel. Look, my hair. Look, you can see my hair. It is not white. Look.
Hold on.
Look. It's
Hold on
not
a minute.
white.
Hold on one second, John. Hold on 1 second.
Got it queued up, don't you? Hi, I'm Roland Mann, and I run Silverline Comics, the genre-spanning independent comic and graphic novel publisher. And I'm here to tell you about our first Kickstarter for 2021. It's a double feature flip book. We've done a couple of those before. You probably remember them. Hopefully you do anyway. Well, this is our third one, and it features Teen Beetle #1 and Switchblade #1, the remix volume. So here's John Crowther to tell you about Teen Beetle.
Hi, my name is John Crowther. I'm the writer and creator of Teen Beetle. It's a 3-issue series I'm doing with Silverline Comics. It tells the tale of Blake Northrup. He's a teenager who has acquired the vitamin 2X. You might remember from the old Blue Beetle days. He's acquired it and he has used it to transform himself into Teen Beetle. However, he's also awakened some evildoers, such as Dr. Mantis, who are set on grabbing that vitamin 2X and using it for their evil means. So hope you follow us. We've got some great art by Del Barris and some great colors by Jerry Lou Smith. We're on Kickstarter and hope to have you aboard.
Thanks, John. But wait, there's more. On the flip side, we've got Switchblade #1. It's the remix. Some of you might remember the Switchblade was originally published in 1997 on newsprint. Yuck. We have digitally remastered every page, and the issue has been digitally colored by Aidan Belcher. So what is Switchblade? Well, let me tell you. Switchblade is the story of Scott Nathans, just a regular guy, but he's fed up with the failures in the justice systems. Seems like a lot of us today, right? Scott, who's a boxer in New Orleans, is pushed over the line when a local elementary-age girl is raped and murdered, and the killers get away, all because of a paperwork error. Scott takes it upon himself to see that justice is done and becomes a bit of a hero to the locals, but a vigilante operating outside of the law, and thus wanted by the police. And remember, both of these comics are completely finished. We could print them and ship them to you today, but that's where you come in. We need your help to get the funds so that we can print them and ship them to you. So, give us a look, pledge if you can, and if you can't pledge, you can still share. Tell all of your geeky, nerdy friends who like to read comics, go check it out. You can vouch for us, right? You're already familiar with Silverline, you can vouch for us. So thank you for your time, and remember, make mine Silverline.
See, now look at that, man. Thank you, John. That was a great area. I mean, the Oscar goes to Roland for that acting.
Right?
I literally look like one of those ventriloquist dolls when I talk. I look like my mouth is just going like.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like Roland.
we got Jennifer says it's not white, it's silver.
Jennifer, thank you.
Silverline.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that. Silver. Yeah. But it's still, look, it's brown.
That's a new. We could do that. We could do hair product, and you can say "Make mine Silverline."
See, there you go. we got Michelle who says, "I missed the beginning. Could we get a redo of the intros, please?" Okay, I tell you guys, everybody loves the intros. So we got. Speaking of which, Roland, does my hair really look that white, man? And then we got John, I take selfies with cows, Crowther. And then, of course, you got Trish. It's my birthday weekend. Woohoo.
It should say boo-hoo.
Yeah, she's crying. Okay, and then what do we got? We got Kyle Willis.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Drew, we got... Where did everybody go? Okay. We got Kyle Willis saying, yo. Michelle saying, oh, never mind. Well, you got it anyways. And Kyle says, what's poppin', fellas? Hey, Kyle, how you doing? And then you got Royal Airship says, Roland, you're the silver fox of Silverline.
TM, trademark, copyright.
Okay, now that we're done talking about Roland's white hair.
Please, thank you.
We can go back to the book, which at least everybody got to see the video.
Yes.
And
it was a good video, wasn't it?
Roland's excellent acting. I really like that. I like the. Can you do the PU on because of the newspaper print?
It was a yuck. It wasn't a PU.
Oh, Okay, a yuck.
Yuck.
There you go.
You like that, don't you?
Because now I'm gonna replay it. I'm gonna pause it right during that.
Oh no. Yuck. Yeah. You know, the thing about it is, though, I don't hate newsprint, but I know a lot of people do. And the thing about newsprint is that it's porous. It's very porous. So when the ink, when you printed it and the ink went into the newsprint, it literally did spread. Now, I'm obviously exaggerating. You can't see my hand. I'm obviously exaggerating the spread. But if you look at any newsprint comic and then you look at the original art, it's the lines aren't as crisp as you see in the original art. This is one of the reasons a lot of artists hated newsprint, from back in the day, because it bled the colors, and you couldn't have done some of the level of art, all the fine lines. You couldn't have done those because it didn't matter. It would have bled. Colors as well. You couldn't have been as detailed with the colors because it all bleeds into newsprint paper. And of course, if you remember anything in history of comics, until the kind of the late 80s that we started, I think it was DC mostly, started experimenting with like the Mando paper, the higher grade papers that didn't bleed. And then that's where we, things just began to develop as publishers and printers began to use higher grade paper. And we use a really good grade of paper now for all the stuff we do, thanks to Kablam, and stuff looks great. You can see all the little intricacies and of the line work. You couldn't get that, in the late 90s.
And there we go. Don't hit the computer too hard. You freeze up.
Oh. Did you not hear anything I said?
No, we heard all the way up to the end.
Okay.
So, and my thing, so when you first did Switchblade and you were using newsprint and newsprint's porous, was that because you were porous and couldn't afford better paper?
It is indeed because I was porous and couldn't afford better paper.
Okay. I know. We got to go over to John real quick because these next questions are for John. Michelle wants to know, can we still get the original Beetle comics? Because I'm gonna skip Jennifer. I'll go back to you in a minute, Jennifer. She wants to know if you can get the original Beetle comics to learn where Teen Beetle come from.
Well, it's based off. If you're into Golden Age comics, it's loosely based off the original public domain Blue Beetle. So actually, yes, you can most likely by checking out your local comic store, or even probably most likely going online. You can look on eBay and Amazon and try and grab some of those olds. But this is going way back, like to the 1940s is how far back we're tracing the origins of really where this story kind of starts. And back then, the old original Blue Beetle, he used to get his powers from a formula called vitamin 2X. And what we've done in this story, without getting it too much into detail, because we want you to buy it and read it, is he has discovered the actual formula for the old vitamin 2X. And they've learned how to recreate it. And by doing that, they've transformed him, or able to transform him into the Teen Beetle. But you can learn a lot more about it you can Google vitamin 2X Blue Beetle, and it'll teach you all about vitamin 2X and kind of what we're dealing with in this new series.
Okay. Now I'm going to jump back over to. Oh, go ahead,
Roland. Vitamin 2X. Get your 10-day supply of vitamin 2X.
Exactly.
I was going to say, it sounds like something your doctor would prescribe to you every morning.
I think what we need to do, John, I've got a marketing idea here. So hold on to your question there, Steve, because we need to go buy some Flintstones, and
yes.
we need to rip off the cover and call it Vitamin 2X and sell Vitamin 2Xs at the conventions.
Or we could just get Pez.
Even better. Pez would be good. Yeah.
That would.
I wonder if we could get anybody to make
a jar.
Or if we could get anybody to make Teen Beetle like little Pez dispensers.
Oh, that would be cool.
And that would probably be a little less illegal.
Yeah. Less illegal. We don't do illegal things here.
We just said buy Flintstones vitamins and rip the label and relabel it,
and sell them as something else. Nothing illegal about that.
Was it a joke?
Yes, FCC. It was a joke. If you're listening,
I don't have any
kill my
Flintstone vitamins. Don't kill my internet.
We're gonna see where we're doing that. All of a sudden, people come into Roland's little closet in there and rip him out. All you're gonna see is black suits. Just boom.
Wait,
Okay, so we're gonna jump back up to Jennifer since I passed her up. Talking about the porous newsprint, it's full of acid and breaks up so easily. And then back down to Michelle. Yes, that's why I have to keep my old ones on plastic.
Yep.
But a positive point to newsprint. Silly putty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the cool thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Okay, Jennifer's like, comics were screen printed back in the day, right? Question mark. That's a question to you guys.
Screen printed. Not as the way I understand screen printing. No, you maybe have heard of a web press. But screen printing is a little bit different. They were just
I used to do screen printing in high school. We used to print t-shirts
right?
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Comic books are a 4-color process, and so at least traditional printing is. Now, if you do print on demand, like what we do, it's kind of like your home printer, right? Just huge. But traditional 4-color printing, what they would actually do, if you ever remember the newspaper strips, right? You'd see Snoopy and you'd see his nose, but the color of it would be over here and everything would be shifted. That's because the paper wasn't aligned correctly and everything shifted a little bit, right? So what would happen is that you had the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, right? So you had 4 colors that made up, hundreds of colors that you could get in a comic. That piece of paper literally had to go through the printer 4 times, right? That's why it's called 4-color comics. They had to run it through, first cyan, and then you would get, and then they would take it, they would line it back up, all those pages that only had cyan. If you'll give me a moment, I will dig up an example that can kind of show you, but I'm going to stand up, so I'm not going to let you look at my shorts. So hold on. I have an example that I will carry with me to class sometimes, when we're not in the middle of the plague. Now this is just a color proof, so it's not the actual color, but anyone who works on Photoshop, where's my art? Here it goes. Anyone who works in Photoshop will have seen this done. So I put this in a bag because the first several times, this is artwork I take to class, and I started doing this, and every time I would take this to class, it would rain. And if you know art, it's made of paper. So, all right, so this is a page from Rocket Ranger. Okay, so
I'm gonna put you into solo so everybody can see it.
Okay, so this is just a color proof from Rocket Ranger. Okay, now what would happen when they would print it? They would print one color, right? So they'd print this, the magenta, right? And then they would take this page with all the magenta printing and line it back up in the printer again. And then they would print yellow, and then the page would look that way, right? I know it's got a bit of a reflection. You can kind of see me. And so then they would take this page, and then they would line it back up, and they would print the cyan so that you would get that. And then the last thing they would do would be then to print the black plate, which gives your final color looking like this. Now the black plate comes last because it covers up any kind of inadequacies or if your cyan, magenta, or yellow slipped just a little bit, the black goes on top of it, and that can cover up any kind of inadequacies or printing errors. And so this is what would happen. It would go through 4 times through the printing press 4 times. Now the great big printers, okay, you can take it off of me. Like the great big printers would have 4 different presses, right? Because they would have one for each color, and then they would just run it. But the smaller presses would actually have to take the ink, to clean it all out. They'd run one, they'd have to clean the whole thing out, and then they would have to reload it with another ink. And there's where you end up getting a lot of your setup fees and things like that. You don't do that anymore. It's just like if you take a photo and you have a home printer, you hit print, it comes out looking really, really nice. Well, Kablam, like a digital print on demand, that's what they do. They have big printers, and they can run those things out and staple them and cut them and trim them and everything. So it's a little different, but those are good questions. That was who said that? Jennifer? Cool, Jennifer.
That's Jennifer. So Jennifer also follows it up. So then it's done with metal lithography. Sorry.
Lithography.
Yes, they made plates. They weren't always metal, but they would take and make. Oh, I actually have film. Check this out. I will tell. So this is really. So this was never seen. This is a never seen cover for the old Cat and Mouse, right? This is from the first volume of Cat and Mouse. Now what you're looking at is just a color proof again, but it's not. It's a little different proof. But I'm looking
at a half naked woman.
That was
Trish. Put your clothes on.
So, but what you see here is that I've actually got the film. So we would actually shoot film, right? And all these, each page of film here represents a different color. So cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And what they would do is they would take these films and they would create a plate. And that plate would then determine the ink that would go on that page, right? So they would have to take the film, create a plate goes on the press, and that's the thing that essentially kind of stamps it. And it just run it through a whole bunch of times, if that makes sense. But each of these got a has a piece of film. Now, I'll tell you what I've done, and the reason I have this and have it handy. Take it back off of me.
Yes, sir.
I have scanned these and the film, and I have taken it into Photoshop, and I'm playing with it, seeing if I can do what they did. 25 years ago, I'm seeing if I can do what they did on Photoshop using this film. And so far, it's looking pretty cool. So it still has because the screen was very big, so we printed in bigger dots because it was newsprint, and so it kind of has some of that look. But so far, it looks really cool. So.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Man, we really went down a rabbit hole there, didn't we?
Yeah, those were good questions. I think Jennifer was a plant by Roland.
well, actually, Michelle has a question, but I'm going to finish with the printing before I jump back up to Michelle's question. But Michelle says, okay, but if you offered something like that in a bidding war, that would be badass. She's talking about your film pieces.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I was going to say, I don't think Roland's going to part with that.
I don't think so.
Then Jennifer says, sorry, I have a master's in print making.
Very cool. Well, she probably knows more than I do about any of that stuff. I'm just kind of covering the basics of what I know.
And Michelle says, yeah. Then Jennifer's like, that's so cool. Thanks. And then Michelle says, use Illustrator. Okay. Now we're going to go back up to Michelle's question way up here. And we'll let John talk since Roland just.
Yeah, I'll mute my microphone.
What advice would you give writers who want to get into the comic writing genre?
Do it. I mean, when I got into comics, I started writing in 2014, and actually, I'm stealing from Roland because I've done some panels with Roland in the past, and one of the things that both of us have kind of said in the past is there's a lot of people that talk about doing something, but for every 10 people that tell you they're going to do something, maybe one actually does it. So my advice to you would be to just start writing. I mean, in the industry today with print on demand and honestly, there's no shortage of artists out there. There's really no excuse for you not being able to get a comic out there. So my advice would be, maybe what I did, I got some sample scripts. And because when I decided to write my first comic, I had no idea how a comic script was actually done. I mean, I'd read comics my entire life, started reading them in the 70s. But I didn't know how to do a script. So I found myself a script, acquired a script, and I kind of worked off that and just kind of built from it. But the best advice I can have, and even if I went back and talked to myself, was just write it. The only thing that can hold you back from doing something is yourself. So once you get it written, there's plenty of avenues if you do social media or any of those things to find an artist. Trust me, artists are looking for work. So, so you can be selective too. I mean, costs of doing pages really vary depending on experience and expertise, but you can find an artist and get it done. And then with print on demand, such as Kablam, like Roland has been talking about. I mean, you could print one comic, you can print 10 comics, but get a comic done, have it in hand, and then just go to some of the shows and start talking to people and start networking. And that's really the best advice I think I can give you.
Now, is a script for a comic book the same as like a script for a TV show or a movie or anything like that?
Well, I've never written a movie or a TV script, but from what I've been told, they are similar. I think a movie and a TV script is probably a little bit more detailed, because you've got like he walks in, he pauses, he sneezes, he does, we're not necessarily that in depth, but it's probably a similar type format.
Do you know what my snarky answer is to that, Steve?
What?
They are very similar in format, although I might argue that comics are more detailed, but that's semantics here. But the big difference, my snarky answer is in comics, the pictures don't move. And you might, it might sound like a small thing, but I even tell my students, the single biggest problem I find in student scripts is when they write the description for a panel, it includes multiple actions. It's like the character does this, then they do that, then they do this, then they do that. I'm like, whoa. They can't do all of that in one panel. They have to do one thing in one panel.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference is that, in comic scripts, the pictures don't move.
So when you're writing a script, you have to think about each one by panel, how you would hope it would be laid out.
Yes.
Yeah. And then really it falls upon your artist to bring that to life, and hopefully they can bring it to life in the way you imagined it. I can say that the first artist I ever worked with is Del Barris, and that's who actually is my artist also on Teen Beetle. And I've always felt that he and I just had a sort of good working relationship, a good chemistry together. I've always found that whenever I've written a script or a panel or something like that, he has this magical way of making it appear the way I actually envisioned it when I was writing the script, which I can't say that about every single artist that I've worked with. So I think that you end up, you find different artists that you can actually work with. And then that's why I tend to go back to him a little bit, which, tying that in, he was, for fans of Blue Beetle and people who are interested in the Teen Beetle book, he actually was the artist or an artist on Teen Beetle Blue Beetle back in the 80s, which is one of the reasons when I was creating this story, I was kind of excited about it because I thought, what cooler thing to do. I mean, I can't like do Superman with him. I can't do Batman with him, but I've got a public domain character that he actually worked on that I'm not replicating it, but I can do something similar to it with a guy who actually did the artwork for it, back in the 80s. I said, what a perfect fit. How lucky am I to be able to tap into his knowledge of some of those stories.
Well, Del, you keep going back to Del because he has a bug thing along with you too.
Yeah, but I think
that's why you guys mesh together. You got that bug fetish going on.
My bug thing is by choice. His bug thing is by hire. So
yeah, yeah. I think one of the tricks in comic writing is you have to. So I think one problem I see in comic scripts a lot of times is as a writer trying to be an exact director. Okay, the camera is right here, and this is what we see, and this is we're 3/4 of the way to this person, and and I'm like, no. Just tell the artist what's happening, give them the details, and let them bring it to life. Let them decide where to place the camera, what how close to get into your subject. Do you want it to be a close-up, a medium shot? Generally the artists are going to do a far better job than the writers can ever do. You've got to give them what they need in the sense of the visual details and description, but you let them tell the story with the camera.
Absolutely. That's a really good point, because I didn't have the benefit of having Professor Roland as my, and to learn comics. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Roland is a professor that teaches at Full Sail University, and he teaches this to people. I was a lawyer, or am a lawyer, who decided I wanted to write a comic book, So I had no idea. So I do. And being my profession, being an attorney, we tend to try and take control a lot. Situations. I mean, it's kind of bred into the industry. So I did find, as I was initially writing, trying to have a lot more control than I probably should have or needed to, particularly working with a guy like Dell, a veteran in this industry. I mean, Dell broke into the industry in the 1970s working on Savage Sword of Conan. I mean, he was the last guy I needed to tell what to do with a panel. I mean, and I did. I mean, and he was, that's the nice thing about him is he realized my inexperience and my enthusiasm. So, but he knew how not to be like, hey, idiot, I know what to do. He knew how to work with me and coach me and say, hey, this is what will work. You don't really want to start with this. You want to start with this. And he was able to I was able to learn, I think, over the last few years. I've had the benefit. I mean, I'm proud of it. I mean, back in 2014, I'd never written a comic before, and from that time on, I've now published multiple series with Antarctic Press. I've created or co-created my own comic company in Squared Circle Comics. I'm now working with Roland Mann, a former editor for Marvel. I never would have imagined. I was a fan that went and met Roland at Daytona Beach, a few years ago. And now I'm actually doing a flip book with him. I mean, who would have ever thought that? When I was growing up as a teenager, my favorite comic series was Heavy Metal Magazine. And I kicked off 2020 by having my first story in Heavy Metal Magazine, and all of that is just from, I think it was it Jennifer or Michelle who asked earlier, was just from, there you go. Was from just doing it, and having perseverance and understanding that you're not always going to be accepted. You're not always going to, not every publisher is going to tell you yes. And not everybody's going to think that what you do is great, but if you got to accept criticism for what it is, you've got to take your no's with your yeses and you build yourself off of both. For every rejection I got, I made another connection, that's how I looked at it. Nobody was truly a no. It was a not this time is how I viewed it. And then I just move on to the next one. And that's, I think, more than just learning how to write, I think it's learning how to make it in a business or in this industry. And it's not just in this industry. I mean, that's life in general. You're going to meet, I don't know if we can use the George Carlin words on your web podcast, but
that's why we're at night.
you're gonna meet assholes. I don't care if it's in comics. I don't care if it's in scooping ice cream at the ice cream store. You're gonna meet assholes who don't accept you or don't accept what you do or don't appreciate it. But you're also gonna meet some really great people who are gonna help you and help you grow and who are gonna love what you do. And you just got to stay at it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me catch up on the comments because our comments are going berserk here. We got Royal who says, Royal says, make a blood contract with your artist. Then we got Jennifer who says, we're our own worst critics sometimes.
That's right.
And we got Michelle. Oh, no, you got Jennifer telling Michelle, I'm an artist. PM me, Michelle.
Michelle, you should do it. I know Jennifer was at the show this last weekend. I've known Jennifer for maybe about a year now or so, maybe 2 years or something like that. So Michelle, you should do that.
Michelle says the comic writer gets to show. And then please make like this so I can find you again. as you see, Jennifer or Michelle, we tag Jennifer's page down here where you can go to it and you can PM her there. And okay, we'll come back to that question from Michelle.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah, it is a good question.
Yeah,
we'll come back to that. Jennifer says I don't have any comic stuff up there yet.
Sounds like a great opportunity.
And that's fine, Jennifer. But this way, she can always get to you.
Yes,
that's why we wanted to make sure you got tagged in it so she can come back to the comments. Now let's go back up to Michelle's question. Do you think a public domain character could be more successful than an original character? And go.
Who's going to take this? You or me, Roland?
I'll start, and then you chime in. Okay. So I worked on Miss Fury in the 1990s, and I actually am working on Miss Fury again. Miss Fury is a public domain character. I don't know if the answer is a yes or no, but what I would rather do is talk about some pros and cons. Okay. So some of the pros that I as I see them of a public domain character is that they have name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
There is a group of people, fans, who might recognize that. Now, and in the same aspect, Michelle, I know you've been reading John Amon. A lot of those characters are public domain, and a lot of people don't recognize them because they're public domain, but they're not really popular public domain characters. And so I think that there's the idea that it's a public domain, so you're going to get some automatic audience with that because they're like, oh, Miss Fury, I know Miss Fury, I'm going to check out Miss Fury. I think some of the cons that go along with that is people going, well, they're redoing Miss Fury. I love the original Miss Fury. I don't want to see anybody redo that, right? That's true. Then another con of that is if anyone else has done so I'm going to speak to kind of, well, no, actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to stay with Miss Fury. Let John handle Blue Beetle. So Miss Fury has actually been done by another company now, Dynamite. And I know that they tend to think that they own Miss Fury, but they don't. It's public domain. But as I'm doing Miss Fury again, what I have to be careful of is I have to make sure that what I'm doing is public domain, or if I do new stuff, it can't be done with Dynamite. Now, I'll be honest with you, I have not read any of the Dynamite stuff because I don't want to, because I don't want that to influence what I do, right? So I have to just try to be careful to make sure that what I do in my new Miss Fury wasn't done in the original Miss Fury. I'm sorry, in the Dynamite Miss Fury, only the public domain Miss Fury. Now you might ask, how are you going to avoid that if you don't read it? That's a good question. What I'm going to do is make sure that I specifically go to the original Miss Fury, as well as what I did in the 90s, because I know that Dynamite doesn't own that. I'm gonna go to what I did in the 90s and then what the original Miss Fury did, and as long as I can kind of point to that, I should be okay. So I think that's a pro and a con, and then I'll step aside and let John add.
Yeah, I mean, as Roland was starting, the first word he said actually was the first word that was in my head, which is recognizability. I think that is a definite pro. I mean, I've already had, and I started advertising that this series was coming out. I've had some people making comments about, oh, is this a new Blue Beetle? Oh, what are we doing now with Vitamin 2X? Oh, da 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 da. So there's definitely a recognizability factor, which can be a positive and a negative. I mean, some people don't want to read old comics again or remakes of old things. I mean, even in movies, there's the people like, oh, another freaking remake, So there's obviously sometimes there can be that feeling, but that's not what I'm doing. And I'll explain that to you too. Right. When I say that Teen Beetle is kind of is a reuse of a public domain, it's not a redoing of Blue Beetle. It's not even the public domain Blue Beetle. If I've done anything off the public domain, it's with Vitamin 2X. So there's never going to be any issues of copying anything. Because DC, Blue Beetle's been done numerous times. Now Comics, I believe, did a Blue Beetle. DC Comics is probably the most recent who's done a Blue Beetle. But what I've done, I haven't done Blue Beetle. I've done Vitamin 2X is the only thing that's been brought back from the public domain. Right. And then we've created a new character with the use of the public domain Vitamin 2X, which is called Teen Beetle. And we've tied it in for those of you who were fans of the Blue Beetle way back. And you'd have to be way back to read these when it first came out. Blue Beetle had a sidekick back in 1942 who his name was Sparky. His name was Sparkington Northrop. And what we've actually done is we've incorporated the story using a relative of old Sparky, the Blue Beetle sidekick that only appeared in about 2 or 3 issues. So that's kind of how we've tied the story in. But again, back the book, get a copy. We can read all about it. I don't want to give away the plot, but so that's kind of what we've done. And
well, John,
and
I will say this: Michelle's a backer.
There we go. So
Yeah.
Michelle, fantastic. But also, I've also tried to tie her in because, like Roland said at the beginning, Rochelle was my first series, and I was building a Rochelle verse. I like how you said that. I just called it Rochelle Universe, but I like Rochelle verse better. So I've tied the two together. So there's always a possibility.
You know why Roland's the boss, because he comes up with fancy words.
Exactly. But I've tied the, Team Beetle and the Rochelle Universe together so that eventually we can have some crossovers done. One of the characters in the Team Beetle actually was a major character in the Rochelle series that ran with Antarctic Press as well.
Okay, let's hit a
and
couple. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. All right.
I'm holding.
Okay, we got Tommy that says, "What's up, peeps?"
What's up, Tommy?
And he loves the hat, John.
Thank you. You guys missed my story on where I got it.
Okay, now I'm determined to see Michelle and Jennifer do a book.
Jennifer says she's known you for 2 years, Roland.
2 years. Okay. Yeah. We met at a show. So, and this is one of the things that Full Sail tells their students all the time. And I can always tell, particularly live on the campus classes, right? The minute I start to say networking, their eyes just glaze over because they've heard it so much, right? They see, look at that, Roland. It's just connections, right? They've heard it so much because it's so true, Heck, the only reason John and I are doing a project together is because we've known each other for several years now. We see each other at shows, we hang out, we talk, we do comic stuff, and I like John, and apparently John likes me. And he's like, "Hey, man, I've got this idea, but don't say a word, Steve. I'm not asking for your opinion here.
No, I
see you thinking it.
You guys are so tight knit between all you that even when you leave the convention, you all leave together, shake hands, and then you drive by in a parade waving together."
You should. I wish you'd had a video of that.
You know what that is, Steve? That's called networking.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it? We walked down to the other end, and they're grouped in a group.
They're all in a big group surrounding Tom.
Yeah.
And then we all said bye. And then we're standing outside, and they all drive
one by one driving by.
If it's City Cosplay, I did say on our way out of the building in DeLand, I said I feel like I'm in a receiving line at a wedding.
that's what you were. I mean,
yeah. But yeah, no, Michelle's right, and this is something I do say and repeatedly in the class is that networking is, and it boils down to this. People want to work with people they know and people that they like. I mean, fortunately, when I was an editor at Marvel, there were people that I had to work with that I didn't like, and some of it was just corporate. This is you're going to do this because this is going to happen, and the bosses tell you what to do. Well, the beauty of what I'm doing now with Silverline, I don't have to work with somebody I don't like, right? Why are you laughing? What's so funny now?
Tommy, what Steve doesn't know, we all live in one big house.
Yeah, right.
And it's on CBS on Thursday nights after hours.
Hold on a second. I'm going to run over to Roland's room now.
Yeah. They would have crapped if you'd have walked into my video.
I know, right?
That's when BJ should have started coming in. Just see like a shoulder or something.
Yeah.
And
get her to put on a black T-shirt, right?
Yeah, and one of these hats.
And a sombrero.
I've got a hat, not quite that big, but I've got a hat like that. Yeah.
Okay. So they want to know the hat story real quick.
Okay, John? It wasn't that exciting. I was with my wife and daughter at a Mexican gas station that happened to serve burritos, and like this, they had like 2 tables, and it started raining outside.
To serve burritos in Mexico.
This was like somewhere between DeLand and Mount Dora, and on Highway 46, I think it was.
I knew I should have took that second left in Albuquerque.
It's pretty much what happened. So it started raining, and there's only one umbrella. So they had this hat, actually, like in a far corner, dusty covered hat for like, I think it was like $5. And I paid the little guy behind the counter for my $5 hat, and I made it out to the car. Got in the. Actually, it was hard getting down the aisles and actually even into the car with this. This is pretty wide, as big as my head is. This thing is quite wide, and that's how I got my hat. But now it's fun. I like it.
See, the true story though is, John, they loaned it to him, right? Because there's the hat. See, the true story is they loaned it to him, and then when he tried to offer it back, they go, "Oh no, you keep it, you keep it."
either that or they're expecting me to bring it back.
There's no way the ring will bring it back one day. Okay, so let's see. I'm not trying to skip anybody. I'm just trying to pick and choose, keep the comments with the comments, and then go back to the new questions, guys. Let's see. Roland's in trouble. I was trying to keep it low key that I was your student.
Sorry.
Michelle. Well, I was going to tell you, Michelle, I kind of figured that out right away when you were repeating stuff that I've heard Roland saying for years.
I'm sorry, Michelle.
Because I ask Roland a lot of stuff about what he teaches and how he teaches, and Roland, we sit and we talk about it, and Roland gives me a little bit of in-depth of what happens at school.
And here I thought Jennifer was the plant.
Okay, let's see. Jennifer, you guys have to give us the Kickstarter link. I have never been a backer. Gotta learn. Well, if you would go to my page, the Orlando Collector Deviants page, about a couple posts down, you're gonna find I did a big article promoting the Kickstarter.
Oh,
this is a great one for you to get your feet wet on, Jennifer. You get 2 books, one that I've written, one that John's written, right?
Yep.
2 books, both number 1s, and there's actually even a level that we'll sign.
Yep.
Even if you don't get it signed, they're at enough shows together, you can get it signed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And actually, if Roland updated it today, not only can you get a comic number 1 from Roland and from me, you can be drawn into my comic on one of the pledges.
So that drops. So the update has been posted, but the reward tier is not available until 12 noon tomorrow.
Gotcha. Okay. So what we're doing, and you'll like it. It's a wanted poster, help wanted poster done by our bad guy, our resident bad guy in issue number 1. He's looking for a few good henchmen.
That's right.
So if anybody's ever had, I also write wrestling comics, so I'll use some terminology. If anybody has ever dreamed of being a heel, here's a good opportunity to be a heel.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, talking about the tiers, I put some of them onto the page, and maybe you can talk a little bit about them. We'll start with $8 tier.
Yep. All right. That's the digital tier. So here's one thing I had to clear up the other day. So this is digital, right? This is primarily, I find that people who back our digital onlys are the folks who live overseas that are like, I am not paying $40 or $50 for you to ship me a couple comics, right? And so they opt for the digital backers. We see them in Europe and in Australia, that kind of thing. One thing I do want to make sure I clarify is that this is not a flip digital, right? So, so you won't get half of your book on one side and half of the book flipped over, so that you have to try to turn your comic or your phone or your tablet the other way around. Because
phones don't usually work that way.
No, they don't. Those images keep flipping as you flip the phone. So it is not a flip digital, but you will get both of the books for the digital tier, for the digital double digital.
Okay. Well, now we got the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was that also, because one of the questions I sometimes get is, does that include the thank yous? And yes, it does. The thank yous go in the Kickstarter version of the print book and in the digital versions of the Kickstarter.
Okay. So now we're going to jump to the $15 tier.
Okay. So that one's the early bird, and it is no longer available.
I am so sorry about that.
That's quite all right.
Well, when I put this together, it was still there.
Yes. Well, it went pretty quickly. So usually what we do in the early birds is we because Kickstarter will let you do 2 aspects. It'll let you do a time and it'll let you do a number. So we usually set it for like 4 days and 25 copies. It was gone by, I want to say, by early Saturday. So it was scheduled, I think, to the early bird was scheduled to stop on that Sunday, on that first Sunday, but it didn't make it to the time. So
no, I am going to make a little comment on your guys' behalf. For people who don't know when the Kickstarters go live, if you subscribe to Silverline, they do give you a heads up that, look, in a week we got something that's going to be dropping for on Kickstarter, and then you'll get it once it drops. You'll get the email saying, "Hey, we just dropped this on Kickstarter. Please come back us."
Which is important too, because sometimes there are some very limited pledge levels available that are usually, a lot of times those get eaten up real quick by the early backers.
Well, for instance, the two that are gonna there's 2 tiers that'll drop tomorrow, but there's really only 3 rewards. One of them is the original Teen Beetle cover that Peter Clinton
I might need that.
well, it's the one
that
Peter Clinton and Barb Kalberg inked. Peter Clinton pencils, Barb Kalberg inked. Beautiful cover.
Run through your covers. I'll tell you which one it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on, let me go. This is
Teen Beetle one. Yeah, Teen Beetle. It's the one, not that one.
Ben Dunn's. No,
not that one. That's the Michael Lanning.
This one will be available.
Yes.
One lucky backer.
Yep. And it's the black and white, right? So it's her inks, her original inks over Peter Clinton's pencils. And so there's only one of those available because there's only one that exists. So that one, and then for John's henchman, there's only 2 of those available. So they'll drop at noon tomorrow, and I imagine they'll be gone probably by the end of the day. So I would assume so. So if you're interested in that, you need to check like 1201, 1202, something like that. Get in fast.
You can get that, and then think about it. If you get yourself drawn in from here to eternity, all your family members can see you in print.
Yeah. See how evil you are.
Exactly.
So Steve's gonna get put in.
Oh no! I need a whole comic to myself for that kind of evil. Okay, so next tier, I got 2 on the $18 one. So we'll start with this one.
Yeah. So there should actually be 3 $18 tiers, right? Well, I think there are 3 $18 tiers. There's the Kickstarter.
I only put 2. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. So you've got the A and B covers there. So essentially what happens is you can get the Teen Beetle 1 and Switchblade 1 as a flip book, 3 different versions. There's the Kickstarter exclusive version, and then there's the cover A, which you have up on the screen now, and then there's cover B. So both Switchblade and Teen Beetle have cover A, cover B, and those are just paired up like that. So if you were to get this one that you're looking at, cover B, you would get a flip book that has those 2 covers on them. Right? So these are still flip books. Excuse me. If you go to the completest tier, I feel a sneeze coming up. Sorry, I was looking for the mute button, but I couldn't find it.
You have to do the Hadouken. Come on, next time Hadouken.
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button fast enough.
John's hat didn't help him.
Yeah, he still got wet.
So the $18 tiers, those are all flip books, and they're just you get your option to get the Kickstarter exclusive covers. And when we say Kickstarter exclusive covers, now what we mean by that is that once this Kickstarter is done, those covers will not be available anymore.
Again.
Nope. That cover right there by Mike W. Belcher, who is the writer creator of Man in the Mask, very popular indie comic. Does it all on his own. His son is the one who colored that, Aiden Belcher, and Aiden Belcher is also the one who colored Switchblade for us. I think, to my knowledge, Switchblade is the only thing Aiden has colored outside of his dad's Man in the Mask.
Okay, let me go over the comments real quick to see, because Trish ain't keeping up with me. Tommy says, flip digital. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And Scott says, bless you.
Thank you. I tried to hit mute.
Tommy says you'll get his cover. He'll sign it too.
So Tommy inked the C. Michael Lanning Teen Beetle, the other Teen Beetle cover.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yes,
I love that cover.
Is that one? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, Tommy inked that one.
Yeah, and that's our resident bad guy, Dr. Mantis.
Another bug, by the way.
Yes.
That one's another bug.
I'm thinking with the bug theme.
And that one is penciled by C. Michael Lanning.
Yes.
Who is doing a project with me called The Rejects that hopefully we'll see in a couple of months.
See, now he has a comic about me. The Rejects.
I told you about The Rejects in when we were in Leesburg, I think, didn't I?
Oh, no, you did, but I'm saying
Yeah, okay.
how she wanted me to show my evil. You were just making a comic about me, The Reject.
This was an LOL for earlier, but it fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the $45 tier.
Okay, that's the completest. So when the first couple of Kickstarters I didn't have these, and I got emails from folks that said, they wanted these. And so I started including them, and folks want them. So what the completest is, you get it all, right? That means you're like, people are like, hey, I want the Kickstarter cover, but I also want the variant A, variant B. I want all the covers. The only difference in this one is that you get the Kickstarter version as a flip book, and then you get the variants all as individual issues. So you don't get 3 flip books. You get the one flip book that's the Kickstarter version, right? And then you get Teen Beetle 1 with the A cover. You get Teen Beetle 1 with the B cover. Switchblade 1 with the A cover, and Switchblade 1 with the B cover. So 5 books, right?
Count them, 5.
5 books. That's right.
Okay, so that's that one. And I don't think I put all the tiers on here, guys. I kind of went through, but I have to do my favorite tier. Next one.
Graven!
The $75 tier.
Yes. Now, a couple of those are gone already.
Like page number 4.
Like page number 4 is gone.
I wonder who got that one.
I'm not sure.
What?
What? What?
No, I didn't.
What?
Trish is talking to me over here, and I don't understand what she's saying.
John, I'll whisper in your ear. How's that?
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
What's up, Graven?
Graven says, "Hey, rock stars, long time no see." Sorry.
Hey, Graven.
I wasn't over the comments yet. Okay, so back to this one, Roland, please.
Yes. Okay.
Before
This is original art. And I'm trying to see it. I got to peek around this, right? I'm just kidding.
There you go.
So this is original art. These are obviously there's 5 pages of original art from Switchblade issue number 1. These are all. Oh, I can actually show them to you if you want to see them in person.
Don't handle page number 4.
Okay, I'll be gentle with page number 4. So you can see these are the original pages. You can see that they're actually signed by. Well, shoot, I can't. Leonard Kirk, and the inker of these pages was David Rowe. So you can see this is page 8, and there's that one. Then there's page 3, and it's also signed, as you can see, by both of them. And this is just the original artwork for the comic. Ooh, this is the one I have to do. I got to be very careful with this one, right?
Page 4, right there.
Yep,
there we go.
Page 4, and if I'm not mistaken, it's no longer available.
It's no longer available.
It's no longer available.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to look at one of these other pages, right? Like page 16 here, right? It's also signed by Leonard Kirk and David Rowe, which is a good montage page. And then I think one more page here, which is page 9. Got some boxing going on, right? So you can actually see some whiteout right there behind that locker. This is one of the things I like about original art. You get to see, I think you can see we actually taped the page numbers down.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Tape the page numbers down. You can see the blue lines here that help the artist with where they're going to do the artwork, the panel borders. Sorry. You can see up there, it's the blue lines, book, title, that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's just one of a kind for these pages because only one of each of these exists. So,
okay, now, like I said, I think that was the last tier I did. You added more today, like you said, and let me.
Well, there's also another tier that you didn't mention that some people might be into. Del Barris, who I mentioned, is my artist on Teen Beetle, who's got a lot of years in the industry. I mean, all the way back to Savage Sword of Conan. He did the Blue Beetle. He did my Rochelle series. He did Deathlock for any of those fans of Marvel UK. He got into animation. He was a lead animator for Stan Lee on the Spider-Man television series. He has done How to Train Your Dragon. I mean, tons of stuff. He has agreed to do 10 single character commissions.
Yes.
As part of one of our tier levels. Yeah. I believe it was what, $75 level?
No,
that's higher.
Was that 150?
150, yeah.
150. So if you'd like some original art from a real veteran who's worked with Stan Lee and a lot of the big names, including John Crowther, you can get that tier for 150, and there's 10 of them available. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's only 9 now. I think I think at least one has gone. But you can also see examples of Barris's work, Dell's work, the kind of thing that you would get if you got this. You can see examples on the Kickstarter page.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't taking every tier down. I was just
it's all good. Hey, listen, we want them to go to the Kickstarter page anyway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm also gonna do this because, like John talking about Dell and everybody, this is all the people that's worked on Team Beetle, correct?
Yep. So you got some guy up at the top. Right below that guy is Dell, and it kind of gives a little rundown at Dell's career. The colorist on the series is a wonderful young lady by the name of Jerry Lou Smith. Jerry Lou has just started coloring actually recently in the last couple of years. She's done a lot of work with Antarctic Press. She has I think they just wrapped it up. She just did a Kickstarter with her husband on a book called Dusk County Chronicles, I think is what the name of it was. And I think they crossed $12,000 or $14,000 on that series.
I think,
hold on.
I think that's the wrong person.
Is it? Well, yeah. Jerry Lou, yeah. I forget which one.
She might have
Shannon
worked on
Smith.
it.
Shannon Smith is her husband, and they just had one that just really did really well.
Dusk County Chronicles is talking about Joel.
Joel? Okay. I can't remember the name of it. It's something similar, though.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, something similar. On the bottom, you've got Hector Negrete. Hector, I have worked with quite a bit over the last couple of years. He's based down in Mexico. He did the lettering for a couple of stories I did for Exciting Comics, and for Exciting Comics and Antarctic Press, he did actually my first story with Heavy Metal Magazine. Hector lettered that. He's lettered a story that I've got coming out in Jungle Comics from Antarctic Press. Extremely talented young man and very, very friendly. I mean, anybody looking for a good letterer, he's a good guy. I mean, he's just a really nice guy, and he's fast. I can call him up and say, "Hey, Hector, I need some new letters," and he'll have them to me by the end of the day most times.
Wow.
I mean, he's that quick. He'll drop what he's doing and just do it.
Wow.
Really.
Okay, so that's for the Teen Beetle. Now, this one you're probably not going to see as well because there's so many people that work on that.
Yeah.
So this is for Switchblade.
Yep. Yeah. So so that's me at the top with not white hair. Then
I know it's like, when did that come out? 1980? What?
So it's funny because the picture that I'm using on my Full Sail account is an older picture, and there's not quite as much white in my goatee on the picture. But so then when I do my live sessions with my students, they're kind of like, is that the same guy? Yeah. So Leonard Kirk is the penciler for this. And if you're into comic books at all, you've heard Leonard's name. He's been around for a long time. Probably most folks know Leonard because he did about a 6-year run on Supergirl. He was a long time at DC. He's done a lot of other stuff at DC as well, but a lot of folks are familiar with Leonard's work because of Supergirl. And there are 2 different inkers on this book. One of them is Chuck Bordell, who is a longtime pal of mine. Chuck ran a Kickstarter a few years ago. I did a backup story in his, it's called Witness to War. And I did a Civil War story, Civil War horror story in the back of it, in which Chuck drew, but I wrote. Chuck's done a lot of inks for Silverline over the years. It's a handful of different books he's done. And then David Rowe, you know what? This is where I feel bad. The original Switchblade was done in the late 90s. I have no idea where David Rowe is today. I have searched for him, but and I've sent people. Ow, stop that. I've sent people emails. I've sent David Rowe's emails. Say, hey, are you the dude? The last one I sent one said, hey, are you the guy I worked with? In the late 90s on Switchblade. He goes, probably not me. I was all of 8. I'm like, yeah, okay, that wasn't you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? So I have searched for David. So David Rowe, if you happen to be hearing this, drop me a line. Would like to update your information, and anyway, you can see we still give him credit, but I have no idea where he's at. And then the colorist, this is Aiden Belcher. Aiden has taken, like I mentioned before, we took all the pages, we digitally remastered them, tweaked the pages up to clean up the lines, handed them over to Aiden, and Aiden is the one who colored Switchblade, and it looks very good. We're very excited to present it in color. And then, of course, Brad Tomte is the guy who lettered it. Brad does a lot of logos for us, but Brad Tomte did the letters for us in this one.
Now, I got to say, guys, you need to go to the Kickstarter page and read the little abouts for everybody, because if you read Chuck's, you'll die laughing at what he wrote about himself.
Yeah.
So at least Roland, I do go in and read that stuff, because when I got to check, I'm like, I had to read it like 3 times. Like, am I reading this right?
Now I need to go back to and read.
Transistor farmer.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Chuck's a funny guy. Yeah, he lives up in Montana, I think, Idaho, Montana, somewhere. I think it may be Idaho, way up there. Where it snows all the time, and so we got him slapping some inks out. Chuck likes to fish too, so I email him and I'm like, how the ink's coming? And if he says, well, I haven't been doing much, I know he's been fishing, right?
Okay. I'm going to skip one of Michelle's questions because we're so far down. And I like this question better for you guys.
Okay.
No, I'm going to be honest. Would you recommend a letter person to create their own lettering, or use something that's been used more often in the industry? Now, Tommy did answer, there's lots of great looking hand lettered fonts you can grab, but what do you guys suggest?
Well, in my opinion, lettering can make or break a comic. You can have the best art, you can have the best writing on the planet. If your letters are crap, it'll kill the book.
Yeah.
So I guess if they've got apps that have really clean handwritten letters, maybe you could go with that. But I personally think, and I've learned this over the years, starting with Rochelle, I went with hand lettering, and I mean, I think it was passable. But once I started seeing actual like digital lettering fonts out there was no comparison.
Well, I think you and I have talked about that a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Hand lettering can be good if it's the right letterer. If you're going to get a Todd Klein or a John Workman, these guys can hand letter circles around any computer letterer because they know what they're doing and the letters look good. The danger in computer lettering, of which I'm a fan, okay, the danger in computer lettering, though, is if the letterer decides to be skimpy and doesn't want to pick up a font that's going to look, and they use some crappy looking font to letter their comic. So, we use Times New Roman a lot in a lot of written, the scripts and things like that. And that's fine for a script, but you do not want to put Times New Roman as the font you use to letter in your comic book. It does not look good in a comic. It looks cheap and amateurish in a comic. It looks fine in your script, but it does not work for a comic. So as John said, you want to get something that looks like it's been hand lettered, and there are a lot of good free fonts. As Tommy said, you can find them. I want to say Blambot is a place. A lot of good free fonts. I over the past 7 years, I've dropped a total of about $700.
The place pick it up. Somebody else might take it from you.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, that's that, and honestly, that's the nice thing about like Hector. Hector does. I don't think he spares any expense in getting fonts, because I've had people see some of the fonts he's used in some of my stories, and they're like, "You think you could talk to Hector for me and see if he'll share that font with me?"
Right. Yeah. Well, Comic Craft is the kind of the industry go-to place. So Comic Craft, you can go there now. They've got all kind of fonts for sale. They vary anywhere from like 29, 39, 49, 59, 89, $129, right? But on January the 1st, which I realized that was 20 days ago now, on January the 1st, every year they have.
Days.
Well,
Today's over. Today's over.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that then. On January the 1st, every year, and sometimes, they do something like on July 4th or something like that. But they have a massive font sale in which they put all of their fonts on sale for about $20 a font. That's usually what I've dropped about $100 a year every year on January the 1st, because I can walk away with 5 or 6 fonts, depending on, if I can buy them in a package. And so that's what I would recommend. Someone just be patient, go and pick up a couple of fonts that they need to get started. A really good hand lettering font, a Meanwhile, a Wild Words.
So you'd recommend already used fonts?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's no reason to, recreate the wheel. Just pick up a good font that you like that will look good for the text on your page, and go with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, next question. I mean, we got a lot of questions. I like this show tonight. We got questions left and right. I got to keep going.
I'm going to interrupt a bit. I'm not going to be able to stay on much longer due to some circumstances. But
no
you've
problem.
got a question for me, hit me before I roll out. Yeah.
Well, this one could be for both of you. Are these two comics going to be made into an ongoing series?
Roland, you want to go first?
Yeah, not there are no plans for them to be ongoing. Silverline doesn't really plan to do anything ongoing at the moment. What we're really doing is a series of miniseries. So if they're successful, they could certainly be followed by another miniseries. But I don't see a Switchblade 4 or, unless something just really happens, I don't see a Teen Beetle 4. What I could see is another Teen Beetle #1 with a new volume.
Which is actually becoming more popular in the industry, particularly with indie creators, is to do a multiple miniseries.
Yes.
I even remember, getting some advice from Ben Dunn over at Antarctic Press that they found, at least in marketing wise, getting in with people who comic stores that order through Diamond and stuff like that they tend to like #1s.
Yes.
So they like to do a lot of 3 to 4 issue miniseries, because every couple of years you're coming out with another #1, and they like to jump on those. They get more attention and reviews. They get more attention, across the board, and they generally tend to sell a little bit better. So I think as an ongoing series, probably, at least not at this point. At most, this is definitely the Teen Beetle. At least this one will be a 3-issue run. And then hopefully people like it. And if people like it, just like anything else, if you like what I do, I'll bring it back. And
that's right.
We're looking at a second 3-issue run. And if you like that, a third 3-issue run.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we'll play it.
Yeah. Now will these two be together for all 3 issues? Because I know Switchblade. I already know Switchblade's 3 issues.
Yeah.
So are we going to do flip books for all 3 with these two together?
I don't see why not.
I personally think it's a good idea. It's kind of for continuity purposes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already begun work on Teen Beetle #2. And Roland can answer this probably better than I can, but dealing, at least in my regard, with my Squared Circle comics, when we release comics, you can't necessarily always run the #2 right after the #1, because you've got several things in the pipeline. So there's going to be a gap in time between when these come out and when Teen Beetle #2 will be ready, and that should it should work nice. He's got some other Roland's got some other books with Silverline that will come out in the interim, and then we'll squeeze these in wherever he's got it on the schedule. I'm not sure what, but.
Yeah. And another thing about the miniseries is that when you can do a 3 or 4 issue miniseries, that makes it really easy to collect into a trade. And a lot of fans like to buy the trades. They like to wait until the trade comes out so they can buy, so they can get the whole thing. So it's a lot easier when you think about marketing. I'm going to do the 3 issues, 4 issues, whatever, but then you collect it up into the trade and you can release it that way, and hopefully find a whole new audience as well at that time.
Exactly. So if you guys will, I want to thank everybody for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on, John. You know that.
Absolutely. And I'll be happy to come back again. If fans have any other questions for me, you can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty happy to accept just about anybody who sends a friend request, as long as you're not a Russian or a Chinese bot. And I do look at them to see what I'm getting. I mean, sometimes I get some pretty odd looking friend requests, but I do accept them. I also do have a personal writers page. It's called John E. Crowther Comic Book Writer. I do try and update that as much as possible. You can also find me on Twitter and on Instagram. I try and hit as many of those social media sites as possible, some more than others. I'm an old guy. Like my daughter says, nobody does Facebook anymore except me and people in my age group. But that's where I'm at generally. I just feel more comfortable on that site. Being a guy who likes to talk. I also like to write probably more than I would be allowed on something like a Twitter. So find me, and if you got any questions that I'm going to miss tonight, feel free to hit me up. I'm more than happy to answer them, and especially if you have any questions about Teen Beetle, if you want to know a little bit more about it before jumping on the Kickstarter.
Hey, John. And there you guys go. Trish just tagged John over there, so on both of his Facebook pages. So
send me all your stuff, John, and I'll make sure Silverline pushes it out as well.
Oh, super. Okay, guys.
Links.
And see, right before you go, Michelle says, "Thank you for your insight. You were more insightful than Roland was."
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Have a good night.
See you, John.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now I'm going to go back up to a question I'm going to somewhat answer.
Okay.
Even though you're going to answer probably different than me, but I'm going to answer. Are we going to be left with any cliffhangers? Well, back to Kickstarters and find out.
Well, okay, so the question was up there so quickly I didn't see who it was.
Oh, that's Michelle.
Okay, Michelle. So if you've read any, and you have a pass because I know you really haven't, but anyone who's read any number of things that I've written know that I absolutely love cliffhangers. So it's not unusual that on your first and second issues of a miniseries, third issue of a 4-issue miniseries, you're going to see cliffhangers. I absolutely love them.
Okay, so Michelle says put it on Discord, Roland.
Okay.
She said it twice, so you better do it.
Yeah, because she fixed the spelling.
Oh.
So funny story about the Discord there. So
Rowland. Okay, so we go Rowland.
So funny story about the Discord.
Rowland. I'll do that in honor of John. Rowland.
Here I'm going to tell on her. She may go back and tell them, and I may get in trouble. So got a really good group of students this month. It's the kind of group that I hate that this is live because she's going to. It's the kind of group that I want to fail so that I can have them again next month. But it's a really good group. They for the most part they seem to be energized about comics. They're sponges. They're asking all kinds, as you can see from Michelle tonight, they're asking all kinds of really good questions, smart questions. They seem to be genuinely interested in comics. And I don't get that with all my classes. Most of my students that are in our program, they want to be, television writers, film writers, that kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I get some, but I don't often have this many in one class. And so this has been a really fun class to talk to. So we were talking the other day just after our class, and
night, Jennifer.
Jennifer, I'm going to make sure you and Michelle are doing a comic. It's going to happen. Don't run from me.
And here's the thing. I want first dibs on promoting it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Cause you set it up right here, right?
Right here. We set it up. They getting it together. I mean, it'll be through Silverline probably, and
if it happens, I know that I can urge and push Michelle that way for sure, and probably Jennifer too. But anyway, so they've got a private Discord, right? And the students do their class, which is fantastic. But they invited me, and I was like, oh. And then before I accepted, I'm like, whoa, wait, are you sure you want me on there? It's like, I'm your instructor this month, and you may not be as free to say what you want. Are you sure you can? I appreciate the thought, but you can all second think that if you want. And they're like, no, we want you on. I'm like, are you sure? Because I don't mind. I'll wait if you want to talk about it. And they're like, no. It's like, okay. So I accepted their invite for their private Discord, and I just keep waiting for them to start. Oh. Man, did you see that assignment Professor Mann gave us? Oh, I hate Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm going back up to Michelle because I don't want her to think I skipped over her questions or anything, especially with somebody who's so interested in comics. And you know me, I'm all about helping out the new people.
Yep.
Because you guys can do what I can't do. So Michelle says, how do you feel about the new Archie / Riverdale series and the Sabrina / Dark Adventure series? And I wanted to bring this question up because this is one for Trish to get involved with too.
Yeah.
As Roland does know.
Yes. So my question will be my answer will be really fast, and then we'll turn it over to Trish. I don't have any opinion really because I haven't watched any of it. I will say this from a lot of the sources, friends that I know and trust. I have zero interest in watching it because of that. But I haven't seen it, so I don't really have a real opinion about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there and ask Michelle a question. Are you talking about the shows, or are you talking about the new Archie / Riverdale and Sabrina / Chilling Tales comics? Because they did just bring those into the kind of comic world too.
I assumed she meant the shows. So
and she might be. So I want to make sure that we're answering on the right format here. That way Trish knows which way to make her rant go. And Wubba says, hello all. Hey, Wubba.
What's up, Wubba? You guys need to see Wubba's been doing a killer job on and he's almost finished with the book on the next Cat and Mouse, because Wubba's drawn the next Cat and Mouse miniseries. And he's almost finished with the first book. Jeff Whiting is inking it. And I'm telling you guys, it is looking really, really good.
So you got Jeff to put his drone down long enough?
Say again?
You got Jeff to put his drone down long enough?
Yeah. Yeah. He puts his drone and then he inks, right? Yeah. So I gotta sink my claws deep into Wubba and not let him go. So stuff's looking really good.
Well, it's been a long time, Wubba. It's been a whole month since the last time I talked to you. Michelle says this has been the best assignment.
I want to know how Michelle found the show tonight.
I don't care as long as she has the share it.
I don't care either. I don't try to hide from them. It's just that I don't normally go promote my own stuff on school assignments. So I don't care either. It's just that how did you find it? I'm curious about that.
So Michelle, we have a question for you. How did you find the show? And of course, we know because everybody loves Steve. So Orlando Collector Deviants. So
it's true.
Nobody loves me.
Everybody loves Trish.
So Michelle says the old comics versus the shows.
Yeah.
So Trish, this is all you.
Let me make it short and sweet. They never should have called it Archie Comics or Riverdale. Should have had no
Archie affiliation
whatsoever. Can you watch it without that affiliation? Yes, you can.
That's how you should look at it. You should not look at it associated with the comics whatsoever.
In the first episode, he slept with Miss Grundy.
And Miss Grundy's not an old lady in her 60s ready for retirement. In the show, she was like a 20-some-odd teacher.
Exactly.
So that tells you. Okay, but the Sabrina. Let's go to Sabrina. What?
I'm Trish.
What?
What's up, Trish?
Oh, that's Trish.
How you doing? I like her head. Oh, and there she goes.
Yep, she does. Trish doesn't come onto the show that often.
I can't
Okay.
be
Camera
still.
shy.
Okay, and Michelle also says she was very lucky to have the opportunity to read the old ones that her grandpa saved. Does that make you guys feel really old? Archie comics from what her grandpa saved.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, Wubba says, yep.
Mm.
And then we got a question
Also,
from
yep. What are my claws in him?
Graven. Says, maybe an awkward question, Roland, my friend, due to the lack of knowledge of all the Silverline characters. So I apologize to begin with, but are there any indigenous First Nation characters in the Silverline universe? Sorry, Graven, that's just a mouthful to say.
So I have some created that haven't made their way onto the page yet. Graven, you and I haven't had a chance to talk a lot, but I grew up in Mississippi, not far from the Choctaw Indian Reservation. If you're a fan of independent comics, one of the things I was able to do, Elementals was a very popular independent series in the 1980s. I was a huge fan. They were created by Bill Willingham, same guy who did Fables. Bill Willingham is a friend acquaintance, a friend, not really a friend, but somebody I know and I could talk to, just because of the industry. I did a Vortex miniseries. Vortex was one of the Elementals. Now, long story short, what I did was I brought Vortex to the Elementals were set. I can't see my hand. I'm talking with my hands, and when I'm doing this, I can't tell. The Elementals. No, don't make me full screen. No.
There you go. Look at that. Now you can talk all over with your hands.
So the Elementals were set in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? So when I got a chance to write Vortex, I said, well, I wanted to, because one of the things I'm from Mississippi. So one of the things I've always tried to do is set my stories, not in New York, not in Chicago, not in, in the big cities. I wanted to set them kind of where I was familiar with and where a lot of, the geeks that I grew up around wanted to see them. Right. And so that's why New Orleans is a frequent place that I set my stories. But for Vortex, what I did is I said, wouldn't it be cool? There's a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Wouldn't it be cool if I could figure out how to get him in Philadelphia, Mississippi? And because there's a Choctaw Indian reservation in there, the thrust of my story is this. One of the Choctaw Indians is trying to conjure up the wind spirit to blow away a corporation that's dumping trash onto the reservation. So in their conjuring, when they conjure up the wind spirit, they get Vortex, right? So the guy ends up saying, well, I'm not a very good conjurer trying to get, so he ends up Vortex, but Vortex gets there and decides, oh, this is a really crappy thing that this corporation is doing. So Vortex allies himself with the Choctaw Indians in order to fight off the corporation that's dumping trash onto the reservation. So that was a really long-winded way to answer your question in that none have shown up yet. If you gave me some time, I could dig up some drawings and some sketches of some that are going to show up once the stories get to happen, but none have actually hit the pages yet.
Okay, let's go. Michelle, you put it on a discussion board, Roland. That's how she knew about it.
Okay, a discussion board.
Yeah. Discord, you put it on discussion board. I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, yeah, probably the Silverline discussion board. I put the OCD thing on there. Well, okay, cool.
Well, good. Since you are a sponsor, it'd be nice that you did this every once in a while.
Well, I have
promoted OCD.
No, I promote OCD, but I have to be careful because Full Sail is my daytime job, and if it looks like all I'm doing to my students is promoting the things that I'm doing, that's not a very good thing. So I try to keep, I show them stuff that I'm not afraid to show them. I'll show them the stuff that I'm working on, but I try not to do too much of that in my class because I've had a class before that a teacher, all he did was talked about the stuff he did, and I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that teacher. If they ask me, I'm more than happy to share, but my classes aren't full of things. Oh, I did this or I wrote that, and I try not to do that in the class.
Hey, no problem. But see, like I can see something like tonight where this was a discussion about what you guys do in your industry that you teach. So
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that we were going to be quite so detailed. I just thought we were, mostly going to be trashing on me and then promoting the Kickstarter.
like what we usually do. But
Right.
But
Yeah.
I love this because we got the questions. Now, what I was going to tell Michelle, she has to check out next week because I got Anna
Oh, cool.
Zool coming on. And I don't know if you got a chance to meet her. Have you had a chance to meet
You know
her?
what? No, I haven't. I need to. Was she there this Sunday?
No, she was at Infinity.
Okay. All right. Right. Yeah.
But we got another lovely lady that's into the comics and everything, and she's going to be on the show next week. I'm already promoting next week, but so yeah, keep coming back, Michelle, because we have as you Roland can attest to you tonight. We have different people every week, and it's always somebody cool and new. Except for once a month, I have Silverline Spotlight. So I got Roland once a month. Okay, Michelle says yes. I love Trish, whoever that person is. We already got to see her.
Yeah,
and she says thank you for showing your purple hair.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And Michelle says my grandpa was in NAM, so when I got the chance to read it, even though I was in the military, it's been a whole moment. You were in the military, Michelle? Thank you for serving. It's always nice to meet a fellow person. Wubba, what?
Nothing.
Meet a fellow person.
It's nice to meet a fellow person.
Well, because I don't know what branch she was in, so I was gonna say what
person?
Not a reservist, because that's
service.
Service. Okay.
I don't know whether to call her a grunt or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't want to be mean. Okay. Wubba says I preferred the Archie Digest at the checkouts. Miss those. The new dark stuff. I understand it, but not a fan. I've actually kind of. You like the Afterlife with Archie, right?
Yes.
And I actually kind of like Jughead the Hunger. That's one that I like. Then Graven says he's familiar with the elementals.
Good. Well, if you happen to have Vortex, then go peek, because it's been a long time. I think that was 89 or 90. Go peek at it again, and you'll see what happens. Is and I forget the character's name, the Choctaw Indian, but he was actually named after a guy I knew over in Louisiana who was a Choctaw Indian. And I got a lot of my information, from him and doing the research for the story. But go peek at it again, and you'll see he's trying to conjure up the Great Wind Spirit to blow back the evil corporation, and he gets Vortex.
Graven says, "Sounds awesome, my friend. He looks forward to seeing them." See, these are the little comments I like reading. Roland, or not Roland, Graven. Don't give me a mile. I like these. I'm simple. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for asking.
Tommy says, Mr. Mann, what's that really cool poster in the background? I don't have mine over here.
That one there is the first ever. So shall I get it and bring it closer?
You can bring it closer.
This is the first ever Silverline poster. And I'm trying to get the reflection off of it.
It's hard, I know. Trust me.
So you can see it's a big one. It's a whopper. It's the first poster I've ever done. Absolutely the first Silverline poster, and I'm so excited. And these are for sale. If you see me live, that you can get them for $5, or you can send me $10 and we'll mail you one in a tube.
Oh, see, there you go. Yep. I didn't get a tube. I got mine in a box.
Well, yeah, because you got a sweet mystery box, and yours was still rolled though, wasn't it? It wasn't. I didn't mail it to you flat.
One was flat, one was rolled, because I ended up with two.
Okay. Yeah.
So, okay. So Michelle says she's glad you did put it in there, because this isn't a promotion of the comic. It was a comic panel.
Yes.
And that's what tonight really was. I really like how And Tommy wanted to know where we can get one, which you just said.
Yep.
And Wubba's is hey Tommy. And then we got what's up, Mr. Wubba. And Michelle says that sounds awesome. So something we talked about was awesome. And Wubba, we need one of those posters. Pray tell, where we get one, Mr. Mann? Okay, so we
check
did
out
that.
Wubba's signature there.
Where?
It's the
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, the W. That's his.
Yep.
He's developed his new signature. I like it. It's sweet.
And Michelle says she was a jarhead. So that's cool. Because I'm a squid bubblehead, actually, because I was submarines. So, okay, there we go. We made it through all the comments.
And to respond to Wubba a little bit back, you can still get the Archie Digest.
Oh yes, you can still get the Archie Digest at the checkout, but pay attention because they've raised the price to almost $10 for that little digest now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Feel old now?
Yeah, Michelle. We used to love when we had Marines on our subs because they go from these all big bad, I'm a Marine, and you put them in an itty bitty tin can under the water and they become sniveling little kids. Oh my God. So
yeah, I don't think I can handle a submarine. Yeah.
So yeah, those Archie Digests, we picked one up for nostalgia, and then when it rang up and it came up to almost $10, I'm like, oh hell no, we ain't doing this again.
I just realized, Steve, you're a Submariner.
Uh-huh.
What the heck? I gotta start calling you Submariner now.
Why do you think he likes Aquaman?
I don't know. Aquaman's a wuss, but Submariner, what the heck?
Oh!
And Wubba says, where I haven't seen a single one here in WI. Is that Wisconsin? Okay. I know like at Publix you can catch them. You can get them almost at any store down here.
There's some stores that carry them and some that don't. Okay. You just have to hit every single
rack.
Because
even Walmart down here still carries them.
Yeah, until you figure out who carries them.
And then she's like, absolutely, talking about the whole Marine thing. And is it like real Coke can only get them in the South? Could be. Because it's like my Canadian bacon Totinos. I have to go all the way to Mississippi to get those now. And then Michelle's like, ask him about compression on a sub. Take a piece of foam down there. Insane. Actually take a string. If you've ever watched the movie Down Periscope with Kelsey Grammer, that is one of the most realistic movies for a sub. Everybody thinks like The Hunt for Red October is and all that. Nah, man. You do Down Periscope, and that is more detailed than these other movies.
Huh. I've seen it, but it's been a while. I have to check it out again then. But
you take a string, do it tight, attach it to both sides of the sub. And as you go down, you start watching the string start sagging.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. So because they have to keep the oxygen to a certain one, or we go kaboom.
Right. Yeah.
And see, that's kind of why I chose subs. I figure if I'm going to die out at sea, I want to die quick. Instead of the ship going down and drowning, I'm going to die instantly.
Kaboom. You want to die with a kaboom.
Yep. Speaking of kaboom, they do Roland Silverline. There. See, I was trying to feed you, man. Kaboom right there.
Kablam.
Kablam. Kaboom, kablam. Same difference.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, Roland. Let me ask you a question now. See there, kablam.
Kablam.
What? Here's a serious question. Now this is gonna go personal here.
Okay. Go personal.
What do you do in your free time? Because I know you are one busy person. So do you get much free time, and what do you do on that free time?
You know what? I don't really have a lot of free time. But I will tell you, when I get the free time, I do spend it when I spend a lot of my free time with my family. Spend it with my wife, my kids. I will tell you this. Friday night is pretty much for the most part, and except for when conventions roll around and those things happen. Friday night is pretty much I have been able to effectively dedicate to me. Roland time. I play games with some old college buddies and my son sometimes when on every Friday night. I love games. I could probably play them all throughout the week, but because I don't have the time, and I know that if I tried, I would be addicted to it anyway. I play games on Friday night. For the last year, I've been playing a game called City of Heroes that I played back in the early 2000s. And the two guys that played with me pretty regular, both of them were college roommates. So they've been, they're longtime friends, and Brett will join. My son Brett will join in with us a bunch, and we just, we play for 5 or 6 hours on Friday night, and we have a good time. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and that's probably my biggest chunk of free time throughout the week.
And see, I think you'll agree with me that you have to find at least a little bit of time to decompress.
Yeah,
going back to a submarine. But yeah,
yeah. Well, I do. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I will. I will watch generally a show a day with my wife. We watch not always, but we'll often eat dinner, and as we eat dinner, we'll watch a Netflix show. We're currently watching the most recent season of Blacklist. So I used to get in about one TV show a day, and I know a lot of people watch a whole lot more than that every day. But I do a lot of reading whenever I get some free time. I pretty much carry a book with me everywhere, and if I have to, I absolutely cannot stand waiting. I'm not impatient, but I kind of am impatient. This is why it's one of the reasons I don't do well at Disney, because I don't want to have to stand in a line for an hour and 22 minutes to get on anything,
And I'll tell you guys, he doesn't like waiting, because I interviewed him on Sunday. I'm like, you got to give me 2 minutes because I know somebody's going to come up. I have to do something real quick before your interview. Well, I can go back to my table. No, it's okay. Come on over.
Yeah.
Give me a couple minutes.
Yeah. I'm just, I just think I'm not one that can be bored. I hear people say, oh, I'm so bored. That's not me. You see all these boxes. I mean, I've got comic books, and I'm in my living room. I've got, bookshelves full of books. I've got comic stories to write and stuff to do. I am not bored. I don't get bored. Never been bored. You can't see it, but I got music over here that I listen to all the time.
With your card in it.
Well, I put my card in it because I loaned it out. When I loan something out, I need people to remember, because too many times I've loaned stuff out and they don't come back. I'm trying to find one of my movies right now that I loaned out, and I cannot remember who I loaned it to. And it kills me because I don't have very many movies signed, but this copy of my DVD was signed by the director, and
Ooh.
I don't know who has it, So
well, you loaned it out, so that's the faux pas right there.
Yeah, and so again, I like sharing stuff that I like. So if I loan something out, at least whoever has it will say, "Oh crap, I've had this for 3 years, and this is Roland's, and I got to get it back to him." At least it'll make them feel guilty. And I just didn't take my card out of this one when they gave it back.
I've been there. I've loaned books out to people, and I've never got them back. I've just gone and rebought the book.
I've loaned out 3 copies of The Watchmen. So fortunately they're not too terribly expensive when you find them.
Well, mine was Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah.
The original book, not
Yeah.
the movie, but the original book. It's actually really good. I loaned it out to somebody, never got it back, bought another copy, loaned that one out to somebody, never got it back, got me another copy and said, I'm not loaning it out no more.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tommy says, Steve, did you bring me back Benet from your New Orleans trip? If so, you could talk me into getting on the show sooner. I did, but since you wouldn't. I tried to PM you. You had me on block and everything. Tried to go through Roland. Roland says he don't want to talk to you no more, so I just ate him.
So I ate it.
And Wubba says Roland has free time. But,
yeah, right. Wubba knows.
Well, before we go to Graven, and I understand the whole trying to watch one thing a night, because before me and Trish go to bed, we try to at least sit down and kind of de-stress before we go to bed.
Yeah.
Watch something, not anything that's, oh my God, it's going to, get us caught into it and we don't want to go to bed. But just something
miles an hour all the time.
Yeah, because we're always going constant lately. So it's like, right before bed, we have that one little, because even while we're eating, we got the laptops going and we're doing this and we're setting up the show and we're doing something else. And so I understand with the whole no free time.
Yeah, it's tough.
Now, Graven says, I never asked this question, Roland. What some of your favorite indie comic characters outside of Silverline? Just curious.
Well, let's see. So most of mine are probably going to come from the 1980s. There was a lot of stuff that independent publishers did in the 1980s that I still like. In fact, you can see here, I'm trying to. Oops, that's the wrong one. Here, I'm trying to complete a run of Grimjack, right? Which John Ostrander, good writer, fantastic writer. What else here? Trying to finish a run of Justice Machine. That's the first issue there. I don't have them all. I think I have. Oh, this is the thing about buying stuff out of the cheap boxes. I accidentally picked up a second copy. But when you find them for 50 cents, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get this, and then you get home and you're like, oh man, I already have this. So yeah, I'm trying to finish it. Oh, of course, this one's Southern Nights. I've got a few copies of that one somewhere. Of this one, I'm probably gonna try to dig in and see if I can't finish a run of Southern Nights. Scout was one of my all-time was one of my favorite indie books from the 80s, done by Tim Truman. I'm a big fan of just about anything Tim Truman does. Graven probably ought to be too, if you're not. Tim Truman did he did a book on was it Pontiac? Who's the Indian from the Ohio area? I can't think of his name right now. Tim Truman does a lot of historical-based books. He did one of my favorites. He did a book on called Simon Girty, called Wilderness: The True Story of Simon Girty. It is the only graphic novel recognized by a state as an official telling of their history. Simon Girty, I had no idea who Simon Girty was, right? As a kid, I always knew who Daniel Boone was. But Simon Girty is to West Virginia what Daniel Boone is to Tennessee. So Simon Girty is a pioneer in the Tennessee area. I'm sorry, Simon Girty is a pioneer in the West Virginia area. And Tim Truman's retelling of or telling of his story is so historically authentic that the state of West Virginia declared it to be an authentic telling of West Virginian history. Let's see what else. So that's Tim Truman. I already mentioned Elementals. I like Elementals. There were First Comics did a lot of good stuff. Kamiko did some good stuff back in the day. I'm trying to think of more recent ones because that's probably what he's wanting to hear more than the old stuff. But I'm racking my brain to think of something because as John mentioned earlier, so many books today are shorter. So they come out and tell a short story and, collected to a trade maybe, and then they're gone. And I'll tell you something I read that was pretty good recently, called Crossbones. I've forgotten who did it.
That one sounds familiar.
It was a Kickstarter, probably just in the last handful of months. I read that and it was very good. Hated to see it end. I like a lot of what Jim Pruitt writes. He had one called Mind Bender recently that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. That's
about it.
Yeah, that's about all I can think of right at the moment.
Okay.
I need to make me a list and so when somebody asks that question, I can say, "Oh, I like so and 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 so."
Well, see, you make the list, and next month I won't ask the question.
You're right. That's what'll happen. It'll hang up right there, right?
Okay, Michelle says, "Thanks for your guys' help. I appreciate it, and I'll definitely be back. This has been awesome."
Excellent.
Thank you, Michelle. Make sure you like the page so you can always see when we go live.
Yep. Thanks for dropping by, Michelle.
I don't go live as much as Roland does, but we do surprise here and there. Tommy says it's his DVD now. It ain't yours.
Yeah, right. Wait, did I loan that to you? No, I don't think so.
and Woba says, I loaned out my copies on the first three books, never got them back, and now they're like 60 to 100 a piece when I search for them on Amazon.
I hate that. Oh, man. And see, that's the thing. You want to share the love. You want to share because, you want to loan out stuff that you like, right? And so you loan it out, and then when it doesn't come back, you're like, I wasn't giving this to you. I was loaning it to you. And
especially when it comes to a book, because there's not as many people who read anymore. So when you find somebody else who loves to read, you want to share that. Oh, yeah. Man, here, check this out.
Right.
You might be able to find your copies on eBay.
So, funny story. All right, here's a really funny story. So when I first published my first novel, I was still living in Mississippi at the time, and I was a mentor at the Hemingway Pfeiffer Museum and Education Center up in Piggott, Arkansas, the very northeast corner. Hemingway lived there for a very short period of time, and he married a local girl.
You're kind of lagging there for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you hear any of that about him?
No. Restart with the Hemingway.
Okay. So when I first published my novel, I was still living in Mississippi, and I was a mentor at the Hemingway Pfeiffer Museum and Education Center. And what I would do is I would go up there once a year, sometimes twice a year, they would have writer retreats. Okay. And so I would stay up there for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, maybe if it was a week-long thing, and I would mentor the writers there. Well, my book came out. My novel came out when I was doing that one time, and so I had a signing session during it, right? And I remember specifically this one person there who I signed it to, right? And her name was Pat, so I signed it to Pat. Well, a couple years later, I saw an eBay on there. I saw my book on eBay, and it said, "This book has been signed to Pat," right? And it was from a local seller. So local to that region. So I'm like, I know exactly who that was. She's selling her copy of the book. So yeah, that was funny.
Wubba says Flash Gordon.
I love Flash Gordon, man.
That's his indie. Graven says, I like hearing about the old ones as well. Also familiar with Tim Truman.
Good. You should be. Good storyteller. I'm still waiting on his he kickstarted a Scout 2 years ago now, and I'm still waiting on that.
Stop talking about old things.
And well, I was going to ask Roland how he felt about being called old titles, especially how this comment from Graven. I may have to sit down with you so you can educate me on the older comic titles before the 90s indie hit.
What the hell, Graven?
Well, the '80s, you know what? The '80s were definitely a highlight for independent comics. But I'll tell you this: I actually think we're seeing a bigger indie revival right now. It's different because back then you had the indie publishers who were doing these long running series. A couple others I'm trying to finish. I'm trying to finish my run on Sable. Trying to finish. I think I've almost got a complete run of Coyote, which was Steve Englehart book. So they were doing these longer runs because they were just coming out with new comics, and that was kind of before miniseries became a big deal. Well, now we're not seeing as many long-running stories, so we're seeing all these shorter things. But I actually believe we're in a potentially better time for independent comics today than the 1980s.
Because it's a lot easier to publish and get your book out now.
Right, thanks to folks like Kablam.
And don't get me wrong, everybody loves the Spider-Man, Batman, blah, blah, blah.
Not everybody, but yeah, okay.
But they're looking for something new and different because Spider-Man and Batman and all of them have been here forever.
And I will say, kind of her comment right there, I've been doing interviews at work for a job opening we got. And I got one guy who came on and Spider-Man this, Spider-Man that, Spider-Man this, because he's in his young 20s, but that's what he's been groomed between the movies and all that. That's what he knows. He doesn't really know the indies and all that. Right. And hopefully if I hire him, I can educate him.
You can educate him, yeah. Yeah. Well, another part of the problem is that so Marvel and DC kind of both changed their publishing model. So when Stan Lee was at the helm, Stan Lee's philosophy was that, every 4 to 5 years, the readership changed over. Is that he believed that he would always get new readers, every 4 or 5 years, that the readers would kind of age out of Marvel and go on and do something else. And so he always kept his comics, they were all fresh and they were all introducing. You can read a Claremont run of the X-Men and be introduced to the X-Men every issue just about. But the thing about it is, once you ended, you never had a question about who any of the X-Men were. You knew who they were, right? And that was ingrained in your brain. Well, once Lee and then Shooter were kind of out of there, storytelling changed, and the Dark Knight Returns was in '86. Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen. I think Crisis, those were all in '86. And so the market began to chase that older reader. They began to say, these readers are getting older, so let's keep them. Let's give them this more mature content. And so that's where, you had your Epic line, you had your, why is it all on me? You had your Epic line, you had...
Because you speak with your hands, remember?
Okay. You had Vertigo. You had a lot of independents coming along doing, more mature stuff. And so that came along. Well, the problem is those things began to do very, very well. And then Marvel and DC began to say, well, let's make all of our line, mature. And so the whole line began to become more mature. And really what happened is they abandoned those younger readers. There's very little for a younger reader now to bring them into comics. They're the most part, the market is chasing an older dollar. And it's unfortunate because we're not building new readers.
Right.
It's unfortunate. I remember
a conversation we had with my brother not that long ago. And they were fostering a 9-year-old boy. And he had asked us what the best comics to get. And we're like, you really got to watch what's on the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You can't
for a 9-year-old boy.
Well, it's funny because I tried to explain this to one of my friends whose name I won't use, but he was a higher up. No, he was a higher up at DC, and he was like, we're trying to figure this stuff out. And I said, well, here's the problem. I'm like, you're not taking into consideration. I don't think you're taking into consideration branding. And what happens is that we live in our tiny little world. So you and I, we know what's in the comics because that's what we do. We read them, right? But you talk to any parents that did not read comics and that you talk about the X-Men and they're going to go,
The Deadpool conundrum.
Or Deadpool. They don't know what any of that is. You can't get mad at them for not knowing. But what happens is, so they begin to look at the brand. Okay, so and immediately they kind of trust Marvel because, oh, it's Marvel, I'm going to buy that, right? But what happens is they pick up a Deadpool, which is a Marvel comic, and they see it and they go, holy crap, I'm not going to let my little junior read this, right? Yep. And so now what's happened is they don't trust any of the brand, right? And so they won't buy any Marvel. They won't buy any DC. I don't care if DC does their dollar books all day long. It's not going to happen because, Soccer Mom and Soccer Dad have seen the other stuff, and they're like, no. We've seen Deadpool. We've seen Lobo. We're not gonna let them buy these books because they're not old enough yet. And so I don't think they took that into consideration. They didn't take into consideration how powerful the brand was. And as a parent, I know that's something that we did. My daughter as a kid loved Barbie. We trusted Barbie. Anything that had the Barbie logo on it, we're like, yeah, cool, buy it. If it didn't have the Barbie logo, then we're looking at it, making sure, okay, what is this? What's this Bratz crap, We went
through the same thing. It's like, right. We're not doing Bratz. No.
we didn't either.
That was the only toy banned in our house.
Yeah, we did Monster High because Monster High was good. Yeah. But like you said, if it wasn't Barbie, but you go to Bratz and it's like they're wearing skimpy clothes. They're acting all like this. It's like that's not the role model we want for our kids,
And so you didn't trust it, so you wouldn't get any of it, even if some of it was good. You didn't trust it, and I think that's one of the things that Marvel and DC have kind of lost sight of is that their brand has lost it. People don't trust them anymore.
Now let's go up here. Tommy says, "Wubba, they're his books now." Thanks.
Yeah.
And Tommy, I'm going to go back to you real quick. You ain't going to have enough room in the house anymore if you have everybody else's stuff.
Hey, but he's on that bicycle, man. He's on that bicycle, throwing them out like newspapers.
Graven says, LOL, didn't mean any disrespect to the term older.
None taken, Graven. I know you. I know that we're
You got to remember, her birthday's on, and she's going to where you've been for a while. It's a new frontier for her.
Well, I've cut down on the weeds so she can get there.
Okay, and we are in an indie renaissance 100%.
Yep.
And I agree with you 100% on the new reader issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you go... I go into Living Dead. They do have a little section for the younger readers, but you have to walk by a freaking 50-foot wall to get to a 2-foot section for young readers.
Right.
Not that they're doing anything wrong.
No.
That's what's there.
Yeah, nothing against Living Dead comics. I love them. All that.
Oh no,
I'm just using them as an example to get to that. These kids have to walk by all this other, and look, like I said, Deadpool. Look, there's 10 million Deadpools.
Right.
They want to see Deadpool because they go to the comic convention. There's 20 Deadpools walking around.
Right.
And
so Deadpool must be cool. So I need that.
Right.
They're doing funny things.
Yeah.
Deadpool's holding a rubber chicken. Deadpool's doing that.
Right.
And then, like you said, when Mama. Well, I'm going to use the movie as the perfect example, where all these parents were taking their kids to the movie, and the people are like, you don't want to take your kids to this movie. Oh, yes, they love Deadpool. And they go, what the hell is this?
Right.
When they saw the movie, and it's like.
So one of the problems, too, with that was, Deadpool was in one of the games. Very PG-13. He was funny. He didn't say any there was no swearing, but he was a funny character in there in one of these. I can't remember what the Marvel Alliance or something like that.
Multiple Alliance number 2.
Yeah. And it was, and he was a funny and fun character to play. And so of course all the kids are going to, love that because there he was in that game and he was fun. And so, yeah, again, it's a problem of the brand.
Then he got his own video game, and parents were buying it and saying, what is he doing in that bathroom? Oh my God, and shutting the game down.
Right.
And it's like, well, maybe you should do a little more research on your people, before you buy them a game, especially when it says NS17 or whatever,
Read the rating, people.
Right.
Okay, Roland, it is going on to 10:21, almost to 10:30. Is there anything you'd like to do a shout out to? One more shout out for the Kickstarter, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Go.
There we go.
Yeah, go check out the Kickstarter. The last time I looked, we were still, or before the show here, we were still $250, about $250 away from goal. So we still need some help. Go check it out. If you feel like you can pledge, please do. If you don't feel like you can pledge, please share it. Right. That's kind of how we get the word around. Share it. Still plenty of comic books to be had there. Still some good upper level tiers if you're interested in original art or sketches from Del Barris. We're gonna have a couple more drop tomorrow at noon. Steve, can I plug our streams? You good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so Silverline streams every Wednesday night and every Sunday night at 9 p.m. You can find us here on the Book of Face. So check us out. We usually talk about geeky things. I don't know, this last Wednesday we talked about what one superpower we'd want. So we're going to talk about the same thing on Sunday. What one superpower would we choose if we could have one? They had a pretty good time on Wednesday, and then we usually try to follow them up on Sunday and have a good time as well. Yeah.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick.
Okay.
You're the Kickstarter, which we just tagged over here at the side, is at $2,381 right now.
$2,381. Good. So it's gone up some then. Yay! Thank you, whoever did that.
You got 80 backers, 9 days to go.
Mm-hmm.
So you still got plenty of time. So everybody who's watching this tomorrow, it's still going.
Yep.
Go over there in the comments, click on it, go up there. If you don't want to go through all the comments, go back to, like I said, a couple of days ago. I did a nice little article on it because somebody asked me last week what I back. Do I ever promote them?
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
I'm going through and promoting them. Now, you do have one special thing. I just remembered. I saw an email tonight before the show. You have a new special tier if they back you and who else?
Yes. If you back the Team Beetle Switchblade Kickstarter, and you also go back Cosmic Times, it's the robot. Hold on, I think I have it right here. I can't remember the name.
Deep Space Tragedy.
Yes, thank you, Martin. If Martin's listening, he's going to kill me. Deep Space Tragedy. If you back that one and mine, both of them out on the physical tier, right? So you can't just get the PDFs. You have to get a physical tier. You'll get a special bookmark that's made for backers of both of those Kickstarters. And on one side, it's gonna have part of the image from right here, right from the poster.
Oh, see, now I take you out of
Solo.
Sorry. You want to be in Solo? Okay, go ahead.
It's gonna be like right this part of the something like that I can't do it. Anyway, you can see the image, and so there'll be Silverline on one side, and there'll be Cosmic Times on the other. Martin's idea. Martin came to me and said, "Hey, man, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "That's a great idea. Let's do it, dude." So I know there's probably a handful of folks who already have done that, who already were back. Yeah, see, like you. So you're getting a special bookmark that has Silverline on one side, Cosmic Times on the other. And I know that we have promoted the images, so you can see what the bookmark will look like.
I wonder where they got the idea of doing bookmarks.
I don't know.
curious.
I wonder who pushed Silverline into bookmarks all the
I
time.
don't know.
So we were doing bookmarks, but someone was very interested in the bookmarks and said, "I want bookmarks," because I didn't do one, and someone told me I needed to do one.
I'm like, where's my bookmark?
That's right. Where's my bookmark?
Where's my bookmark? I backed these just to get the bookmarks. Come on. Most expensive bookmarks Trish has ever paid for.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but see, I read, so I actually put those into two things, except for like this one, because this one I actually have sitting on my TMNT.
Oh, yeah. What's on the other side of that?
That's Kablam.
Oh, Kablam. Okay.
Yeah. This is one. I know it's not yours, but it's one that I haven't actually put to use yet.
Yeah. Well, Indie Planet is a friend of Silverline. In fact, Indie Planet, you can find Silverline books on Indie Planet. That's where we send everybody that wants to. Oh yeah, the Christmas card.
That's what I got in the mail. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Okay.
I just put out my address. God damn it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you're laughing, and they're
I live
coming
here too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I live here too. Yeah, we should have because you got a Virgin one too, right?
Yeah, I got a Virgin one. That was in the box.
Yep.
But I was impressed by this one because it shows how much Silverline likes their people who help back them and everything. Because I got this in the mail, and I was actually proud of this one, Roland. That's why it sits over here on my TMNT game.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, we talked about this, and as you might imagine, it cost us to do, but we're like, we want to be able to. It's a small thing, but we want to be able to thank the people who back us, and to I'm one of these, like, I can say thank you, and I mean it. And I think the people who hear me say it believe that I mean it, but sometimes I think, well, those are just words. How can I show that I'm really thankful? And because I am, anyone who decides to plop down money on a Kickstarter that we're doing, I am thankful, because there's so many other things that you could choose to do with your money. But the fact that you choose to spend some money on some Silverline comics it's I don't take that for granted.
And see, I appreciate it, because not only was it cool that I got it from Silverline, it was the only Christmas card I got all year. So,
Oh no, you got one from buying a car.
oh yeah, the car dealership sent me one too.
Really?
So, yeah.
They said come back and buy another one, right?
Pretty much. It's been a year. Traded in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So where are they going to be able to see you next, Mr. Roland?
You know what? I don't have, except for Daytona, which has not got a date yet in sometime September, October. I don't have any shows lined up. So if you know of any shows, or if you're a show person and you need some more comic book people, please holler at me, because my 21 is looking 21 convention calendar is looking incredibly empty, and I'd like to go to some shows. I'd like to put some shows on my calendar.
Okay. And on that, you will see us next weekend. Not next weekend. Next week on the show with Anna Zool.
Anna Zoo.
Anna
Cool.
Zool. And Anna, I forgive me, because I'm going to kill your last name each and every time. So, but we're going to spend time with her next week. I'm going to put her through the ringer. So please come on. Ask some questions. And Tom's over here saying, good show. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Woot woot.
Thank you so much. I had a blast tonight. I really did. It was, I think.
Me too. I had fun.
I mean,
fun with you guys.
I love having to talk and messing around like we always do, promote the Kickstarter, but we had some nitty gritty questions that you and John were able to answer, like that. I loved it. I mean, you guys almost made me feel professional there for a minute.
Thank you, Graven.
I put up Graven. Great talking with you guys. Thank you, Graven. It was great talking with you as always. And because last week I had Tom. I almost had him with a tear. We had the whole Barbara Walters drama,
right?
moment. Now this week we had actual real questions in the industry. Man, you guys are all making me feel good. Tommy says, enjoyed the stream. Thank you, Tommy. It's always a pleasure when you come in.
Return your borrowed items.
That's right, Tommy.
Or at least let me borrow them next.
Yeah, just keep passing them around.
And hey, guys, it was great listening to you guys chat about Silverline and vet ticks. Okay.
I'm going.
Trish has to promote vet ticks real quick.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it's a great charity for veterans and all that. And since Michelle's a veteran too, boom,
yes.
there you go.
Yeah.
Wubba said, good time, great show. Wubba, you can come on the show without Roland. You like next week, you want to meet awesome Anna, come in. I mean, we're going to have a great show. I mean, we're booked up until after February into March.
Yep.
We're booked up for every week for that.
That's nice.
For the next month.
So if anybody on here wants to get on the show, you better message me quick.
Yep, we're taking reservations for in March now. And Tommy says, will do. He's going to let me borrow the stuff next. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. With that, until next week, peace out.
Make mine Silverline. Woo-hoo.